Welcome to First Fridays. I am so excited to be with you all here today in our First Fridays game of March. And I can't believe we're here because that means it's March. Like Kevin, when we scheduled this, it felt like a distant future, and I guess time goes forward. I'm Allison. You forgot it was March too?
Oh no, I was just thankful that time goes forward.
Oh, your mic's a little quiet now, Kevin.
Oh, is that any better?
Is it quiet for you guys too?
Yeah, it's good to me.
Are we all quiet?
Yeah, interesting. That might be a me problem. Let's see. I'm just gonna crank everybody up. Oh, it's probably a tabletop problem. Alright, well chat, if you can't hear things correctly, let me know. Oh yeah, that's a tabletop audio problem. We were really getting into that sci-fi music. Alright, all is well. So it's March. I still don't know how to work my stream. What else is new? We're joined by three amazing folks. First Fridays is where a guest GM comes on stream, takes things over, shakes it up. And we are so lucky to have a game run today by Kevin from Meromorph Games. So Kevin, can you tell us about your amazing RPG system that I have been wanting to play for so long and some of the cool stuff that you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Kevin, he, him. I am one half of Meromorph Games along with my twin brother, who I think might actually be in the chat. We've made, I think, 2 other games that were in wildly different spaces, and then we turned to like, oh, it would be really fun to make an RPG because we love playing RPGs. So that's how we wound up with ATMA. And it's basically Powered by the Apocalypse-esque, but full of illustrated cards in like a tiny little box that you could take to a con, and it plays in the amount of time that you might actually have during an evening at a con. So it was like all the way around, it was meant to be sort of pocket-sized role-playing game, coupled with the fact that my brother does amazing art, so that's why we gravitated towards illustrated cards, because we wanted to show off the art. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and we actually kickstarted this in 2020, and we are currently in full swing on essentially making a additional, like a full second batch of content. And that's some of what we'll be playing with tonight is some of the season 2 preview content. So I'm very excited to show some of that off.
Playtesting, I love it. Awesome. And let's introduce our players. So first up on the screen is Reba. Reba, who are you? What are you all about?
I'm Reba. I'm an avid RPG player. I like games that are more like story forward than like crunchy numbers and stuff. So I feel like the like vibes of ATMA are real. Like I've never played ATMA before. I'm so excited to do it. So I feel like the way that this game is sort of structured and the way that the cards are, I'm really excited to sort of get into this and see what we could do.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks
And
for hiring
Rob,
me.
welcome, welcome. Who are you and what are you all about?
Everyone. I'm Rob. Really, just kind of do all sorts of random stuff. Not a lot online, but happened to meet Matthew many years ago. As Kevin said, he does amazing art, and have had a chance to kind of work with him on a couple of little projects here and there. And basically, when he brought up the idea of Atma initially, I was sold on this thought of like, okay, very quick to play game, no, not a lot of preparation needed for either new players or even like experienced DMs who just want to play a quick game. So just happened to jump in and play test with them, and have been having fun since.
Awesome. That I love to hear it. Welcome. We are so happy to have you here. And I'm Allison, Insight Checked on Twitch, and I met Kevin through a GM rotating server, and I have never, I don't think, been in one of your games before, Kevin. Like, I think we were players together, but I don't think I've been in a game GM by you before.
Worst part is I think the opposite is true as well. I have been trying to sneak into one of your games for probably a year, because I desperately want to play in one, but now my schedule has been more wonky, so I keep watching the opportunities slide by and be like, "Ah, not that one yet." But one day.
Good, good. Well, we've made time to play together today. So excited to have you all here. Let's get into it. Let's take us away to the world of Atma. And also, I will note that like we're coming in cold. Like none of us really, we've picked characters kind of, but we haven't really dug into any of this yet. And so I wanted to highlight how awesome and versatile this game is because we're coming in cold and Kevin is going to set everything up like that. So I'm excited.
Yes. All right. So yeah, a little bit of background. This is very mechanics light, story forward. For anybody who's played Powered by the Apocalypse stuff, it'll be reminiscent to that. We are playing online in a virtual tabletop that anybody can use. We're playing in the playtest copy, but the regular copy, like you can just go to that anytime. And right, so I'm gonna kick it off with like the little narrative intro to the world. We're going to jump into basically like where tonight's session will be. It should be 2 to 3 hours. So that we'll talk about like the setting and the goal. From there, then we will kick straight into like who are your characters and why the heck are they here. So let's start with the world. So welcome to a world near our own. History changed with the discovery of Atma, a volcanic mineral that empowers the living and entwines the dying. Machines have since evolved true AI, though they remain shackled to specific routines, while Earth's many satellite moons have cracked open to reveal an inquisitive alien race. Nations have contracted in these turbulent times, and the result is a tenuous peace across the map. It is in the restless zones, the cracks in the map between nations, where trouble stirs. Those who dwell here can rely on no one for aid, except you. You are skilled adventurers, ready to test your limits against the world's dangerous frontiers. You won't be alone. Other heroes have answered the call. Oops, shouldn't have closed that. Learn to depend on each other and your creativity in the face of the unknown. The sky is getting darker. So, that's the gist of it. Near future, aliens, robots, ghosts. And where we will be specifically tonight, so this GM deck, which is actually mostly done but still in progress, hence you'll see some of the cards have placeholder art, but we will be in... Ooh. Hang on, that didn't pop up. Did you guys see a card pop up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, one sec. I did not see a card pop up. Oh no. Sorry, I'm waiting. All my image links are now breaking.
No, no worries. I think my stream is haunted. That's what I'm gonna go with. That's what I'm blaming it on.
But you guys are all still seeing each other's cards okay? Like Reba's card showed up?
You want me to close out of thermocephaly?
You can, yes.
Then I think I see everybody's. Yeah, 3-player sets. And then your set.
Something
I
has
think
gone.
the scene ones, something, I can't see the 2 top ones.
Kevin, you can see what I see on stream too.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I see everything on the stream. On mine, they're all now spinning. Let's. Okay. At the risk of derailing for a minute, can we try recreating, and I'll see if that works.
Yeah, that's totally fine. We can
let me
go
just
through a
make sure.
quick BRB screen too while we work this out.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out. So I don't think we need to remake actually, because I think it's just a problem maybe on my end where the images aren't loading.
Yeah, no worries. It's just camera shy. Yeah, let's go to a quick BRB.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. We'll get set up and we'll jump right in. stream. We're back. We are having an awesome troubleshooting conversation. Apparently, the server went down. And the reason you're seeing my cards is because I had them preloaded, but I guess the images aren't working anymore. So we're in troubleshooting mode. And Kevin just suggested. Kevin, can you explain the context for this suggestion? 'Cause I'm delighted.
Yes. So, right. Yeah. Unfortunately, somewhere in the last 5 minutes, it seems like the site that hosts most of our stuff has become unreachable. And we were troubleshooting alternative ways to get enough of the card content that we could still play, including like busting out a physical copy, but that would be hard. I'd be holding cards up to webcams. So until the site comes up, it's going to be challenging to play ATMA. That being said, a few days ago for total kicks, I made a one-page RPG. I have no idea if it's any good at all, but that's on a PDF on itch.io, so I can get access to it. So we could just kill time trying this instead. And worst case, it'll be a very hilarious debacle.
I love it. I'm game.
Hey, we were gonna play test. Why don't we do something completely different?
Let's do it. Let's do a deep cut.
Man, and the only sad part about that is I actually spent the last 3 days, up until about an hour before the stream, building a little online widget to go with it. And I hosted that on the same server. So if the server were up, it would be even easier, but that's fine. Like all the material we need is still there. So let me find it.
I'm so excited about this.
Right, so I'll send everybody the link, but I can also just paste the picture, I think.
Perfect.
It's a one page, so there's not very much content.
Hello to everyone in chat. So excited to see you guys here and that you're all game. Welcome in. I see some new faces. Discarded Dork, welcome. GT, old familiar face from Outer Wilds time. Hello, hello. Ah, Discarded Dork. It looks like you're from the TTRPG Discord server. That's awesome. And you subbed? Wow, I completely missed like a million things. Thank you for the sub. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, Hope server, awesome. All right, folks. This is it. Hot off the presses from Kevin's brain. I'm so excited.
All right. So yeah, I guess all you really need is probably a piece of paper and a D6, or I know you can Google and say roll a D6.
Yes.
Trying to think where I have a physical one I'm gonna grab.
Me too. Let's go old school. What color are those, Reba?
They are clear, but inside they have a bunch of bisexual pride flags.
Hell yeah. That's so cute.
Those are awesome.
Thanks.
Okay. All right,
Are they
so
actual flags or is it acrylic?
It's like I don't know. It's like little slices of little like flags, maybe like made from an acrylic clay or something. But
oh, I missed it. What was it?
my dice have little. You can't even tell.
Oh my gosh,
Little bi flags in them.
that's so cool.
That is so cute. Kevin,
I
you have
was-
a choice to make now.
Okay.
I love that, Reba. That's awesome. Chat says VTT is back.
Ooh.
Now
okay,
what do you do? Which one of your children do you pick?
I think we go with the original plan.
Oh, you teased us.
I know. Yep.
All right, that just means you're gonna have to come back and GM the other one.
I am
Next
totally.
time.
I'm totally down for that. But yeah, if VTT is back, let's take advantage. Okay, so I forgot. Oh, that's right. We were sharing because I was trying to wonder why my card wouldn't share. Okay, so worst case, if you need to refresh, but did that pop up on everyone's screen?
It did.
did.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This is the expected behavior. So let's recap. Back on track. Near future world, aliens, ghosts, robots. We will be in this area tonight. So thermocephaly so that's the GM deck that I am playing. So under this sprawling petrochemical plant, the Nero Syndicate used to run illegal research on quantum AI. Then there was this basically explosion. Their lab blew up, and parts of the timeline around here have also blown up. So the Syndicate's Dawn has arrived to try and basically like pick up the pieces, make amends, or well, at least fix things and recover his investment. But things are not going great. The quantum AI that they were working on has become sort of entangled with the time stream. Also, there's this essentially Contessa who lived in the castle just outside basically the town, and she has been murdered. But with the time shenanigans going on, actually she has returned. And then just in general, you've got this masquerade that has descended upon the town, and now with the weird time anomalies going on, the masquerade is essentially endless. So you've got criminals, nobles, people working the docks, the canals, everything going on. And meanwhile, time is slowly fraying. So that is where we will be. And things can definitely get worse.
Oh, good.
So the way this works is we've got a story card that will frame sort of the goal for the session. Normally, I would draw one randomly because I like seeing what I get. But knowing that you've been streaming Outer Wilds, I thought that this was the only possible choice. Tell me. You can. It might not pop up until you close.
Which one? Oh, yep. That checks out.
So, as you exit the shadows, a comet flashes overhead. Deja vu. This has happened before. A recursion device somewhere in town seems to be looping time, resetting everyone else's memories. Is it malfunctioning, or did somebody do this on purpose to end time as we know it? Use each loop to accrue skills, reach new areas, and inch closer to shutting down the device before you, again, wake in darkness. As you exit the shadows, a comet flashing overhead. So this is your goal for the session. Stop this, whatever device is causing this time loop, and break the loop. And so normally the game is played across 3 scenes. Each scene has like a micro goal. In this game, actually, each time you complete a scene, time is going to loop and you'll have to do the scene again. But as with all time loop things, like things will happen mostly the same. So by the 3rd scene, you will be blazing through all 3 scenes, I assume. I've never played this story, so I'm really excited to see how it goes.
Awesome.
But yeah, so that's where we are. We're in this sort of peninsula masquerade town with a time crisis. That's what you want to do, break the time loop. So let's jump to who you guys are and why you are here stuck in the time loop. So who would like to go first?
I can go first, even though I have no idea what I'm about to say. All right, let's see my guy. So I picked, similar to the Outer Wilds vibe, I picked Nefrit, the astronomer. I have deep pockets. Well, actually, Kevin, what would you recommend to introduce the character? Is there a little bio, or should I just go through my abilities?
Yes, and whatever you want. So every character card on the back of it has some narrative, essentially flavor text. You are welcome to use that or ignore it as you see fit. Because we're stitching this entire thing together tonight and then it's discarded, like you can abuse the lore as much as you want to. So in this case, yeah, it's more about who do you think the character is based on what you've looked at so far, and which parts do you want to highlight and expand on.
Awesome. All right, so I will let the folks at home into my weirdness. I have deep pockets. I've created tiny warp gates called seeds. When I plant one, I can roll, and I can link it to a pocket dimension and briefly capture something within it, or briefly overlay it upon the scene. I have an observatory dimension full of equipment, specimens, and ladders. I can expand my mind with my dimensional research. I touch my forehead like I'm picturing like Professor X, and you can release a targeted blast of psionic energy. I can converse with people who've been into my pocket dimension. Basically, I'm like Professor X meets...
Catch him.
And like kind of like a who's that guy? Oh, the from Marvel. People who know
Oh,
Marvel. Doctor
Doctor
Strange?
Strange?
Yeah, kind of like that vibe.
That's awesome.
And then like I'm cool except for social situations, and then I'm really awkward.
Nice. You may have already answered this, but so what brings Nefrit here? Is it the absolute quantum disaster, or is it something else? Did you know about the quantum disaster before you came?
Um, I think I had tell of it. Oh, Reba, I might be getting some feedback of myself on
Sorry, I
your.
accidentally, yeah, I accidentally did a push to talk.
Oh, no worries. You're all good. Um, I, yeah, I think I heard tell of it, and then it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, though. I thought it was going to be like a small problem, and now I'm like stuck in it. So I miscalculated.
Nice. Very cool. All right. So that is Nefrit. Who would like to go next?
I can go real quick. So tonight I will be playing Giacomo. I think that's how you pronounce that. But I'm a scavenger who actually used to work for the Nero Syndicate long time ago,
Nice.
and part of it was very successful, but kind of was too. I was evaluated as probably more of a risk than a benefit. So at some point, I was basically let go, to put it nicely,
Okay.
and since then have been kind of wandering and going back and forth between having successes and setbacks, where we'll get with a group of people, we'll have stuff happen, get good, or things will get good, and then things just suddenly go bad, and I'm back to square one. So I think for how I ended up here is a combination of I'm probably between occupations at the moment and like trying to find a new place to plan my roots and get started again, and
Okay.
possibly maybe someone that I knew from the area has reached out as like someone who has noticed the problem and is asking for help,
Okay.
and that
So
connection
does
has brought me home.
that raises an interesting question. So if you formerly worked for this criminal syndicate, yeah, I guess what terms what is your current relationship with them and what is their current relationship with you? For example, like do they know you're alive?
There may My thought is maybe there are people who, like one or two close people who do, but generally it is thought I am off the grid,
Okay.
and maybe part of it is like I'm going in disguised, like hence the outfit and like trying to not reveal too much.
Okay. And not ominous at all, but what do you imagine would happen if the nearest syndicate found out you were here and were alive?
Well, if this was more than one session, I would probably be rolling a new character.
Okay. Good to know. Because it's a time loop, so things could get really bad and you could still recover. Okay, perfect. Cool. And in that case, Reba, would you like to introduce your character?
Yeah, my character is I don't know how to pronounce Shomeri.
Works for me.
Shomeri Kadzul died ruling a tiny nation, and then was buried in Atma to resurrect as a ghost to advise her adopted child, the queen. But then everyone else became ghosts as well. Everyone died and became ghosts when the planet was crushed. It's taken 5 years for the nation to heal. Um, I have entered exile to uh, like a fake exile, as like trying to do like fend off external threats to my nation.
Okay.
So I probably came here maybe this uh, doing recon, trying to see what's going on
Okay.
here.
Yeah, like presumably there was some kind of maybe potential threat to your nation here.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. Okay.
Yeah.
Um well, and if you like this idea we can run with it, and if not we'll discard it. What if so you said you were the queen. basically a nation of ghosts?
Yeah, no, I was a queen, and then I died, and I was
Okay.
trying to be resurrected as a ghost to help the next queen.
Okay.
But then it says that a moonfall crushed Parasibo, and everyone else joined me as ghosts revived by ATMA deposits in the
Okay.
soil.
Do we what do you think of what if you happen to know that the quantum research that was done here for years prior to this like time crash, maybe they were basically doing that research using some rare resource from your country, and that could
Ooh,
be what brought you here.
yeah, I like that.
Okay, very cool. That gives a nice hook for everybody. And
Kevin, really
yeah,
quick, I was like, where's everyone getting all this cool stuff? And I just noticed that there's like a backstory card.
I'm back.
I was just like reading my moves.
That's my bad. I should have mentioned it.
No,
But
no
that's okay
worries.
because it's optional.
I'll just put it up on screen so that chat can understand my character better than I do. That's all I have to say.
Perfect. Okay. So, all right. So Yakima is here as a former syndicate person who was contacted. Nefrit is here with an inkling of what was going to happen, but not the full story. And Zumeri was here to try and investigate or even recover basically her country's resources. Why are the three of you together as this starts? Like what has united you? We'll assume you guys have all met, even if it was just moments ago. But yeah, what sort of is the thing that kind of puts you all on the same page, on the same team?
I feel like Zia Mary's weird enough that I would be connected with her. Like the whole resurrection, I feel like there's some kind of maybe knowledge I could have provided to help you out in your goals.
Hmm. Yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to read your backstory to you.
Because I didn't read it to you. Yep, that checks out. So I'm gonna gender Nefrit male because I'm getting like Doctor Strange. I want to be like a snooty British quantum traveler. But yeah, I'm basically a huge nerd that does quantum dimensional stuff, and I'm experimenting, and I love bizarre, wondrous things.
Nice.
So yeah, maybe I
Uh,
helped you out.
Yeah.
and is Nefri famous in your mind? Like is he well known for that, or he just gallivants around but does not have a sort of global reputation?
I feel like he's famous in like a very like special conference that happens once every year, and he's like the star of it, but like no one else cares.
Nice. That works. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about Rob? What brings Yakima into contact with them?
So I believe Alison, you mentioned an idea of like you got into this party and then discovered the party never stops. And I think similar thing happened to me where I jumped in trying to help and hit my first couple of loops and haven't figured out exactly what's going on yet. So just in attempts of trying different things, I've noticed there's a couple of people around here who just happen to stand out in the crowd because they're not just, in particular, none of us are wearing masks, or if we are, they don't fit the scene.
Nice. Okay. That works. Um, any other place setting details you guys want to throw out before we dive into the first scene? All right, I'm gonna go and flip it. I swear I didn't pick this, but it is appropriate. You every loop when you wake up, you are in the vicinity of the clock tower, um,
Of course.
full of banked gears and future tech. The tower's floors span myriad eras. So as part of the time crash, like there's time rifts all up through this thing. Oh, and if you change the clock, you can actually control them. There's a library with a hermit fighting an AI to try and control the whole tower. This like global sort of police agency Intersec has spies hiding in the attic who are being hunted by some of the criminals from town. So there's two goals at the bottom of this, and you guys help me pick one of these that will be your goal for sort of completing this scene. Normally, you would complete it to progress to scene 2. In this case, it's going to be the thing you have to complete every time you want to get out of the clock tower zone. So exploring a past event to discover its true meaning, or staging an architectural failure to crush a problem. And I feel like the second one could have some juicy elements to it, because that would be funny to have to do every time, but you could also get to the point where you know exactly what to do.
I have a question.
Sure.
Maybe it's adds a lore detail, but when we awaken in the clock tower, what time do we
Ooh.
does the loop start?
My favorite answer is you tell me, with the caveat that let's say it's nighttime, since there's a comet, and there's like a party going on. So it could be midnight if you guys have like it could be dawn or something. It could be just as the sun's setting, but something with a nocturnal vibe would be my preference. What do you guys prefer?
Yeah, I like that. I was going to propose that maybe it's on the hour, so every time the loop starts, there's just the ring of the bell.
Okay, let's go with midnight then, because I love the idea that try as you might, none of you have yet made it to dawn.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you guys are good with this goal, the staging an architectural failure, and we'll sort of start weaving that in.
Mm-hmm.
Start with a bang.
Okay. All right. So basically, the way this works is you narrate what you want to do. Your moves give you some extra options. Anytime there's something challenging, I'll probably ask you to roll dice and add a stat. And if it's a 7 or more, you essentially succeed. If it's a 9 or less, basically, I'm just getting tokens to spend on my GM consequences, but I do not have to spend them at the same time. And in particular, like right now, I have a few to start with. I'm going to spend them to put some stuff out. Okay, why not? And why not? Okay, perfect. So you wake up at the clock tower. It's several loops in now. You've become acquainted with each other. Are you guys inside the clock tower, or are you like outside of it at the base? What do you think?
I think it would make more sense for us to be outside of it.
Okay. So you're in the streets. There's this giant spire looming up over you with the huge fluorescent blue faces. You see the comet flash past, and as you step out of the alley, just this like throngs of people and this wash of music just overwhelms you. There's fire eaters and jugglers. There's stalls with spiced foods and things, and we'll say that there's a few like polite guards basically pushing the revelers away from the entrance to the clock tower. And I guess you've explored this marketplace a few times now and found that the moment you sort of step away from the well-lit market, something always seems to go wrong. And so now maybe you're turning your focus inwards towards the clock tower. There are plenty of people, so if you want to bump into specific ones, we'll just start inventing them. But in particular, at this point, you have scoped out, there are some smugglers in one maybe corner of the market, sort of towards the alleys that lead behind the clock tower. And over by one of the canals, where there are fewer revelers, you have every night seen this ghostly Striga come out of the water. Maybe we'll say it comes out in about 5 minutes, grabs this drunk, and just pulls him under, and is gone without a sound. So you know that's about to happen. So you're standing in the plaza. What do you do?
I think Nefrit would kind of eye the drunk who's going to get pulled into the water by a ghostly Striga, which looks terrifying, by the way, and nonchalantly ask, "Are we going to try to save him again, or just watch him? It's really disturbing." I think he would try to think of if there's any options for that.
That gives me. I'm curious what your companions say. Actually, sorry, yeah, I'll wait. I have a really cool idea though. Do you guys care about human life?
It seems like the kind thing to do.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would want to wake up in the bottom of that river. So let's
So as you're walking forward, we'll say maybe the drunk kind of he's leaning against this like rotting pier, and he slips just a little bit, and his like the brim of his coat like goes aside, and the whatever like the collar of his jacket slips back. And Nefert, you get a better look at his face than you've had in past loops. Can you give me a realize roll?
Yes.
Because I'm curious if you recognize him.
Okay, looking at my stats. First roll. Ah, realize. Oh no. Oh no. What do I use for that?
So if you look on you can flip over your stat reference, and it has sort of like move stat ideas for most of the basic moves.
Wow, there's a back. Kevin, I'm not seeing all of the cool things here. Now I do. Cool. All right. Oh,
So
this makes
usually
sense.
yeah, it has default ideas, but also if you have alternatives, that's always fine.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to use my bright because I'm super smart.
Okay.
Wow, what a neat interface.
Okay, excellent. So my interesting idea was, you finally notice him, and you said that there's this conference that you're famous at that you go to like once a year.
Yeah.
That's where you've seen him before. This is like, Dr. Horace or something. Um, Clearly his expertise has been tapped in some capacity for the time experiments that have been taking place here. But yeah, you finally make the connection.
Am
He,
I like close enough to see him when I realize this? Like
yeah, well, yeah,
I would look to
yeah.
my companions and say, "This is a renowned person in the field. He almost headlined. I mean, I almost headlined with this. Don't worry about the brochure. We were both in it. I was under his name. It's fine. He's famous. Famous.
It's alphabetical.
It's it's alphabetical, and his name has 2 A's at the beginning.
Dr. Aaron Horace.
Dr. Aaron Horace, haven't you heard of him? We must save him. His knowledge will be invaluable. I mean, not as invaluable as mine. Slightly less invaluable. It's not valueless. Anyway, don't let him fall.
Of course. Yeah, let's
So as you're, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say VIP. Got it.
Yeah, so and you can start seeing like the sort of greenish glow lifting up under the waves as the Striga is drawing near, and you're crossing the plaza over to him. You're basically not that far. You can probably easily grab him and pull him away if you want.
sounds like a plan.
Cool. Who is doing the grabs?
I'll do it.
Okay. So yeah, how do you accost him?
Probably I'm gonna try to do it like casually because I don't want to like startle the person. Be like, oh, be careful! The railing here isn't very stable. You try like just casually like hustle him away like from the edge of the pier.
Ooh, perfect. Okay, so yeah, you get him away. Can you give me a hasty roll? I'm curious to see if you, in doing this sort of a little more nonchalantly and casually, if you are out of there before the glowing green hand lines out of the water.
Yeah.
You are. Okay, so yeah, just a footstep or two away, you hear it like slap onto the pier and then just drag its claws back across the wood and recede back into the water.
Just in time.
Yeah, he has no idea. He is like, first he thinks you're offering him a drink, then when you aren't, he starts like looking around like thinking he must owe you money or something. And then he's just staring at you in a bit of a fugue, and he's like, "Do I know you? You didn't headline."
No,
He like,
I just have one of those faces, you know.
but what? Your face is it's deceased.
Well, you know, I always say wear sunscreen before this happens, right? So
Uh, yeah, he's like kind of leaning forward on you, like kind of squinting, trying to make out your features, and he keeps looking at this regalia you're wearing, and you start seeing the drunken stupor clear as he's like, I recognize that, like this is a insignia of Parasibo. And he starts like reaching out, trying to like almost tap on it, like he wants to test the material.
like, yeah, it is. It's also expensive and on my body, so if you don't mind.
Yeah, oh, yeah, my manners, yes. And he like starts trying to drunkenly saunter off into the crowd.
No, no, don't let him go, and don't let him see me either. We had a disagreement last time we talked.
Okay. Sir, a moment, please.
Nefrit's going to like grab a nearby like I don't know fruit vendor or whatever Nefrit can find and like hold like a banana and like some whatever Nefrit. Oh, you know what? I'll use a pocket dimension to like summon a banana and just kind of like hold it in front of my face and just try to like blend into the background.
The Curious George dimension.
Yes.
Very cool. Go for it.
All right. I think that's bright.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do the roll. We'll see if anything fun happens.
Oh, because I need to plant a seed for it. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's see if I can.
That also works. All right, I'm accumulating some time. I'm gonna have to. Okay, so that works. We'll cut back to that in a second. While you guys are doing this, Yakima, what are you up to? You've got kind of the lay of the land. You see the clock tower. You see the guards. You see these smugglers, and you actually don't recognize them per se. They are not Nero smugglers. They seem to be from a different crime group that is trying to make inroads in the city, but they were probably not present back when you were here. And I need to spend a token, so what are they doing? Ooh, running a decoy gondola rigged to blow. Okay, so they're in the little alley just kind of behind the clock tower, and because there's canals everywhere, like that alley has a small canal, and you realize, yeah, you can smell the distinct scent of like, fuel, as they seem to be loading some contraband.
Ooh, that's interesting because if we're trying to blow up or like break something in the clock tower, maybe the boat is our tool to allow us to do so. So, question is, maybe I wonder if there's a way we can get the smugglers off of their gondola.
Mm. Okay.
So, now, fortunately for me, I have this very interesting hammer that I can charge to either push or pull things away. So, first of all, how deep is the river?
You tell me. I have no idea how deep Venice is. I'm guessing it's probably at least 10 feet, I assume. And if the city is slowly sinking, maybe it's getting deeper.
Yeah, because I have an idea, but I want to value human life here, which is maybe using the hammer to cause the boat to just suddenly flip in the river.
Okay.
But now that I say that, I also recognize that there's a ghost in there that probably would be very hungry if they saw.
That being said, it's a time loop. If you screw up, no one will know.
No consequences.
From behind the banana, Nefrit says, yeah. I'll know.
We'll say it's actually deeper than it looks, because one of their abilities, they can drag something large out of the water. So, but yeah, okay, so what are you going for?
Yeah, I think I'm going to flip it and then try to, either within the same move or as a follow-up, eventually try to like drag them towards shore and like help them get out of the river, but get them away from their boat. So
go for it.
So I'm gonna charge here, and it's plus tough.
You guys realize that you shouldn't leave Yakima unattended,
right?
crit. Describe this. This goes flawlessly.
Okay. I think, yeah. So just a very subtle charge of the hammer, and just they're slowly making their way down the river, and the next thing they know, there's just like a sudden wave, or like a light wave on the side, and the gondola flips.
Okay.
They land in the water, and like, a couple seconds later, they're thrashing on the surface, trying to get their way back to shore. And as they're making their way, there's just a subtle tug on them that helps them along the way.
Awesome.
So,
Nice. Yeah. So they are soaking wet, grabbing at one of these rotting piers, but now, yeah, like a good dozen yards away from their gondola, which is just sort of gently rocking. The fuel canisters fortunately were tacked down, and it is unattended. Cool.
I think we
And
can use that to make our way to the tower.
yeah, and we'll say the guards, they just hear some splashing. There has been no hubbub yet because the smugglers don't really want to draw attention. So let's cut back to the banana party.
I'm sorry I've done this to us.
Right. So you stopped him. Nefrit is disguised, and he had just turned back around.
Yeah, so you look familiar after all. What brings you into town?
He kind of like you see him he's about to try and lean on your shoulder conspiratorially, and then he remembers like boundaries. Instead, he just kind of like slumps on some random guy for support.
His boundaries don't matter.
Yeah. Well, don't tell anyone, but oh man, I was a big researcher here. I was the best one they could afford.
Behind you, you hear.
They tried to get this other guy. I forget what his name was. Singer something. But I recognize that insignia, and he pats his pockets, finally realizes he's got like a little tankard hanging at his belt. He pulls that out. It's mostly empty. But from within it, he actually pulls out a very rusted, beat up insignia that looks somewhat like yours. Basically, something that you might think was like stolen, purchased on the black market, and has had some of the like little elements pried out of it to be used in his research, which he now fully admits. He's like, yeah, Percibo has this super unusual metal compound, and it was the key to the experiments, but I didn't get enough of it, or I didn't do it quite right, and then
Oh, so you made this?
It's my fault, but I won't sign that on a piece of paper.
Yeah, best not to.
Why are you here? Did you come to give me more metal to work?
Oh, no, I came here to see, I came here to party, actually. So that's the reason I'm here. Just, another rager. I love to party. I say, being like 100 years old.
Just another check on the list.
Yeah.
You hear his stomach growl really loud, and he like lurches off the guy who he was balancing on as he's like, oh, I'm starving, and he grabs the banana.
Oh, my disguise! Nefrit begins to look really flustered and kind of flails his arms a little bit, and he immediately tries to like hide behind the nearest person, which was the same guy that had just been released by Dr. Aaron Horace.
And that guy at this point like shoves you off. He's like, geez, it's a party, not a coat rack. And Dr. Horace has had enough time to recognize your face. He's like, Nefrit!
No!
The third most famous quantum scientist.
The second at the in some circuits, maybe even first on the West Coast, second time zone. He's just like covering his face with his hands, trying to remember how important he is, but he can't remember.
He's just like waving the banana frantically, like being like, "It wasn't my fault. It was his. He was smart enough to have caused this problem." And you start seeing like partiers don't care, but there's a few like syndicate guards that are starting to close in suspiciously.
No, 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 no. None of that, none of that. Look, can't we handle this like civilized scientists? Clearly this is your fault. We've just been in this time loop and well, now we're just resorting to any kind of equipment or plans or what is the word? Shenanigans. We need to destroy a part of the clock tower. Am I supposed to be telling you this? Shimere, help me.
As he's like, sabotage. He just admitted to wanting to destroy our fair city.
Not the whole city.
Not the whole...
Just a part of it. I mean, what in the grand scheme of things, as compared to what's already been done.
Speaking of destruction, where's Jacoma?
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, what are you doing as you hear this getting increasingly heightened?
Yeah, probably about that time, or I'm probably keeping an eye at just as you said, probably maybe the one who notices that the guards are starting to approach and kind of get close to everyone and say, we may want to make some tracks here before we get into too much trouble.
So as you're approaching, so I think it's like a spider web. Everybody's kind of convening on Nefret, Jemeri, and Horus, and you can see the guards. We'll say one of them glances at you. Can you give me maybe like a sly roll to see if they start to suspect or recognize you? And
Sure.
we'll say this particular guard is armed with this pair of super fancy dueling pistols, and in fact seems to be approaching Nefret and Horus with a mind to just say like scientists have no respect for proper procedure. Settle this argument the way civilized people do. Shoot each other.
Okay, so let me roll here.
Man, successes all the way down. Okay, all right. So he does not recognize you. You recognize him. We'll come up with a name for him in a bit. But yeah, he's unsheathing his pistols and sort of reaching out to try and separate Nefret and Horus and just say like, here, duel it out, because we don't have time to babysit you.
Sorry, I was
Wait,
distracted.
Yeah, sorry,
Who-
I blanked for a second. Who's dueling?
Who's dueling who?
So the guard is trying to get the two scientists who are shouting at each other to just shut up and shoot each other.
Wait, he gives Nefret the pistol?
Yes.
What? I thought he was coming in with the pistol to lay down the law with us.
Oh no, they're criminals.
Oh
But he
my
is also
God.
handing Horus the pistol, who is like jumping for it and
Oh no.
rapidly pointing it towards you, trying to figure out where to fire it.
Oh my God.
Archer 5. Let's settle this the old-fashioned way.
Nefret looks helplessly at Jumeri, and is Jacoma near us too now at this point?
Yes.
Okay. He looks between the two of you and he's like, this was, I don't. And he like holds the pistol by like the little loop, just kind of like with two claws or whatever he's got going on. He's just like, not me, not my kind. Dr. Horus, please. He's just kind of like holding it like a little dainty glove.
And you hear it, or I guess you see him go, aha, as he figures out how to cock it, and he is basically fires it straight at you.
He is light years ahead of Nefret, who is not even holding it yet.
So I'm going to send a token to throw one harm your way, unless anybody has a thought on how they want to jump in and intervene as that happens.
I have an idea. But
Okay,
I also know by the rules that I just rolled, so someone else has to roll. Or
Up to you guys. I'm open to entertaining it. Nobody detected you, so you still have the element of surprise.
okay, so The idea I have is I have this little item here called the Garden Walls, and it's basically a small grenade that can generate a light barrier that things cannot get through. So I think seeing Horus start to raise the pistol, I just slide one of the grenades out in front of him and let it try to erect a light wall to stop the bullet.
Okay, that's awesome.
So that is a hit. That is a plus tough.
Okay. So we will say, as the force field springs up and he is unloading the shot basically ricochets and kills him.
As
it's a time loop, so let's play for keeps.
as that happens, I think in that moment, Nefret's going to say, second best now.
Oh.
Oh my god.
So yeah, he just falls over stone cold dead. The guard is like, huh, that was quick. And is beginning to like reach around the barrier for his pistol. Jimeri, what are you doing as this debacle goes down?
I don't know. I'm probably. I want to look. I want to look because I feel like if the guards are coming, they're probably gonna come after us for starting stuff. So looking for like a way out, I guess, to avoid, or maybe to redirect their suspicion somewhere else.
Okay. Ooh. You actually that seems perfectly suited. Looks like your base move includes a way to throw off suspicion.
Nice.
I like that.
What is this? When you say the right thing, you can roll to throw off suspicion or incite a rivalry or misunderstanding.
Ooh.
So that could be it.
We'll have to figure out the right thing to say. How about they're giving away Jello shots the next square over.
That's perfect. They're like, yeah, this problem sorted itself out. Let's get drunk. One of them turns to Nefret and is like, "Sir, give me the pistol back."
He's still holding it just daintily in his hand, and he goes to like blow on it, like like after the pistol smoke clears, but it like hasn't fired, so he's just like just kind of like ineffectually blowing at it, and then hands it over to the guy.
Nice. He takes it, kicks your banana, like it does like a little trick kick, flips the banana back onto your head, and they march off.
Oh, Shimeri, we needed him. He knew things. We'll have to wait for another loop. We need his help.
I realized I didn't roll. I didn't roll to make.
I forgot.
See if that worked or not.
Go for it.
When the GM gets too excited about your idea.
Yeah, I was like, that's okay. There's a mechanic for if this happens.
It didn't work.
Yep. Nope. Wait. There's a mechanic for that. Because I wanted it to work too. I'm gonna take an extra token. I have to spend some, and I've got some ideas.
Cool.
But that does succeed. So to recap, basically, yeah, Horus is dead. Most of the people in the party actually don't seem to care. The crowd has largely ignored this because this happens a lot. The guards are marching off. So I need to spend some tokens, and that means it's probably something happening with the smugglers or the ghost. So why not both? The smugglers have at this point, so they abandoned the gondola. They got washed downstream a little bit. They've climbed out of the canal. They're probably on the other side of the alley now. But okay, yes, perfect. So one of their moves is drag something to light, and in particular something large. So I'm thinking that, not knowing what happened, one of them has actually managed to swim back over to the little gondola, and what you didn't necessarily notice, Yakima, is there were some like chains drifting out of the gondola. It seemed like they were dragging something underwater as well. And he has gone over, like kind of reached in over it, hit a little button for a winch. The gondola almost like tips vertical as it starts, struggling to stay afloat. but you see this dark shape has begun cresting out of the canal. There's basically a shipwreck from like 100 years ago, and it's just streaming with muddy water and kelp, and foam is like washing off of it, but there are bones in it. And one by one, you actually start seeing the alley begin to light up green as each of the dead bodies in it is manifesting a Striga. And they are already basically now on the surface, so they just start floating into the party. And this the party does not tolerate well. Like, you start hearing revelers screaming as they get the life sucked out of them, like Dementor style.
Oh God.
So that's happening now. There is a mass of ghosts streaming into the plaza from the canal alley behind the clock tower. But nobody's looking at you.
Good. Woof. I think Nefert would run over to Jacoma and just be like, this is a situation where I need you and your ability to what is it called? Do things.
Do things. Yes, I'm good at that. Do you have anything specific in mind?
Well, no. I'm an interdimensional specialist, not a ruffian. These things look angry.
And as you say that, we'll say one of them, they're beginning to speed up. One of them is actually lights on you guys within the crowd and is dashing forward. Its arm is almost like extending. And I'm going to spend one extra token. Who's in front, Yakima or Nefrit?
Given what Nefrit just said, I would assume hiding behind Yakima, but that's up to you.
Yeah, I feel like as soon as you notice the ghost, you just jump behind me.
Yep.
And then,
All right. Yakima, you feel this like icy cold hand that plunges almost like through you. And there's this kind of electric, paralyzing cold sensation as you start feeling it drain, like literally just merging with your life force and sucking it out.
Mm-mm.
I'm not about that at all. And I think as soon as that happens, I'm going to try and take the hammer and again charge it to just repel the ghost with the force.
Okay.
So
Great.
Nice.
Yeah. What does this look like? I'm thinking maybe you end up with a shockwave that knocks a bunch of them away.
yeah. So I think it kind of just ripples out, and I don't know how force is able to move a ghost. Maybe there's a little bit of physicality to them, but as they kind of just push out, I think what happens is it. So what I'm imagining is they go pushing into a window, and it is not them going through the window that breaks it, but it is the ripple force. So it's almost like throwing someone out of a bar, but throwing them into the building.
Okay, nice. And Ziomeri, you are yourself a ghost. I'm trying to think if you everybody hears them hissing, but maybe you understand what they're saying.
Ooh.
What would they be saying? Okay, we'll go with something simple. You just hear the name of the Contessa, who you know to have been the murdered monarch that used to rule here. And that's the last thing you hear before there's a giant blast and they are flying away. We'll say also that the two smugglers who are kind of off in the distance, you hear one of them shout like, "Hey, that's the same shockwave that knocked us out of our boat." So suspicion seems to be growing, but you have a clearing. What do you guys want to make of it? So your goal is still to somehow topple the clock tower, although you may have to reset if you need something out of Horus to do it perfectly.
Can I ask how many loops have we been through already, do you think?
Sure. My first thought is you guys tell me. And it might not be the same if you guys arrived at different times. It could be that one of you has been here a long time.
What do you guys think for your characters? How long have you been stuck in this day?
Well, in spirit of tabletop, this is my fourth loop.
Okay.
All right.
How long does it take for the loop to to go again?
To reset or to complete?
To reset.
It's probably instant. Like I'm guessing it's kind of like the thing where like the moment you die or the event like
Okay.
snaps, you just wake right back up at that start point.
Okay. Wait. How long has the like? How long has each loop taken so far?
We'll say since you guys have struggled to make it out of this like party plaza, that probably on average you've been resetting within like the first hour or so, is my
Okay.
guess.
Okay. Cool.
If somebody's been here for many loops, maybe you've managed to be here longer, like fully explored the plaza. But I'm thinking like as you start getting away from the main central area that's well lit, you quickly get backstabbed or shot or murdered or robbed or many of unpleasant things happen.
I feel like
Okay.
Nefert would have been here for a long time, but that
Okay.
didn't realize it was a loop at first, like because it was a party and Nefert's so awkward that like it just kind of felt like an endless day for Nefert, but like that's typical at
All
social
parties feel that way.
situations. Yeah, so it took
That's
him a while to
awesome.
notice.
Like Mardi Gras, the party never stops.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. All right. So yeah, you
I have
guys
before
go
I
ahead.
have a question about my cards here. I
Sure.
have some that are like flipped. Like I have like one like basic move that is like flipped, and then other ones are like flipped up other
Yes.
ways. Can I
That is
use all
actually,
of them, or just the one that's like flipped forward?
so that is my bad for calling the rules so simple that we could gloss over all of them. So basically, you will get one additional card flipped face up as each scene ends. Meaning,
Okay.
right now you have your first two. Um, Probably here in a few minutes, everybody will flip their third one, and then once you guys are successfully making it all the way to the third scene, you'll be beginning the third scene with the fourth card, and the fourth card is like from the super move category.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. So you don't have it yet, but you will shortly.
Rad.
Okay, so you're in the plaza. The ghosts have been repelled. People have fled. The guards had already kind of fled. The smugglers are getting up to something, but like, kind of this is your moment if you want to try something. Like you've got a clear shot to the clock tower. The guards near the door. Some of them are even gone. The gondola is still there in the river, albeit now changed to this wreck. The barrels of fuel are still in it. What do you want to try?
I think Nefert would just ask more information from Jacoma because there's something going on with those barrels of fuel. Yeah, maybe just ask about Jacoma's experience. Like, do you have an idea, or should I use my mind power to blast down the door?
Well, the one thing of note for sure is the spirits started getting restless as soon as they were lifting that piece or that wreckage that they're harvesting. So maybe if we are able to put that back to rest, it would put the spirits to rest.
Spirits. Mm, maybe Sumeri would know about that.
Well, they're looking for the Contessa.
Didn't she die?
Yeah.
Question:
I
Do
mean,
we?
sometimes people die, and then they continue on.
Important question: Do we know how the Contessa died?
Ooh. Um, so I will say, Yakima, when you used to work here, she was still alive. That seems like the type of thing that Nefrit might not have paid a ton of attention to. But Ziameri, your whole shtick is that you're like a basically a spy queen, right? Like you're going around learning stuff, protecting your country.
Spy Queen
So
is
that
such a great phrase. Love it. I want that on a resume.
that seems like something that you might have had your ear to the ground for. Um,
Hmm.
Especially since she's the monarch formerly of this area. That would have
Yeah.
been like a peer and or rival to have kept tabs on. So maybe if you want to do a realize roll.
Yeah. Using my noggin. Ooh.
Crit. Okay.
Nice.
So you have heard a good amount of detail on what what happened to the Contessa, and you tell me, would you prefer to make it up or should I make it up?
You can make it up. All I know on the card there is that she was murdered.
Okay. Let's see. Yes. So you have actually heard she perished fairly recently, all things considered. The time loop makes that a bit of a fuzzy thing, but like within the last few days, actually, she was still seen alive. Um, so you do know that her she was at odds with the syndicate that seems to hold most of the sway here and was behind the time experiments. And you have a fairly good lead that you believe that syndicate was behind her death.
Is that the same syndicate of Giacomo's past? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the Nero syndicate.
Okay.
As for manner of death, we'll say is beheaded too gruesome? Maybe poisoned. Let's go with poisoned. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead to keep some pressure on. You see the smugglers at this point have sort of taken up a place across the canal and begun essentially extricating like some smuggled weapons that they had stashed. So they are basically now lining up to take shots at you guys. Also, the ghosts are probably beginning to slowly recover from the blast. It'll be another minute. But with most of the party having cleared away, you're kind of in the wide open. So what do you want to do?
Nefrit doesn't want to get shot. So, and also I just want to use this roll. I'm going to expend my mind and use my psionic beam, as I say. I must stay number 2! And shoot the ray from my forehead out towards the people taking aim at me.
Awesome.
Oh, goodness. Oh, I don't know if I clicked on my bright with that, but...
that would make it even more of a crit.
All right.
Yeah, so what does that look like? What happens to them?
Oh, boy. Well, I don't want to damage what they're doing or what they're on, because Giacomo said to put it to rest, and I don't want to destroy everything. I just kind of want to get them off of our backs. So a bright beam of psionic energy shoots out of my mind with like those little ripple effects of energy that come off of it. And I don't know if Nefrit knows what it does, because he always closes his eyes afterwards, but he just hears the sizzle.
Nice. So yeah, on a crit, we'll say they basically both slump to the ground, essentially like the mental equivalent of like totally knocked out. And
that's how I got through my PhD program.
Knock out the professors. Yeah, so you've got at this point then I guess a clear sight to the gondola with the canisters of fuel, or there's only really one guard left at the door of the clock tower if you want to just barge in.
I feel like the fuel canisters would be helpful in destroying this tower.
We just need to get a piece of it off, right?
Yeah.
Or do we need to get all of it?
An architectural failure to crush a problem. Yeah, so yeah, I think just demolishing some portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, yeah, Nefrit, probably as you've been here the longest and been around like in this one spot the longest, you've probably started to form a theory that whatever happened to cause the time loop, like a lot of the energy seems to be like channeling through the clock tower, and disrupting that will sort of expand your reach in the loop.
I see 2 possible moves here. We could either use the barrels in the gondola directly to try and explode the piece of the clock tower that we think would happen, or we could potentially use them to create a distraction, get the guard away, and then sneak in and have a bit more time to look around and have a more precise, I guess, precise means of addressing the issue.
Well, lucky for us, if one fails, we can always do the other next time.
Or,
That's
Exactly.
awesome.
or both at the same time.
Oh.
Split the party.
I'll follow your lead. I'm a little tired after expending all of my mental energy, but just let me know what I must do. Also, don't forget I can summon things from a pocket dimension. It's delightful.
Like this banana.
He offers both of them the banana, like kind of like,
I'll take it.
Cart, my card says I have dried food, so I just pull out some beef jerky. I'm like, I'm good.
Nice. Cool. All right. So which one is it?
What do you all think? I can go either way.
Live your best RPG life, whichever one's most exciting for you.
I think in that case, I want to try the distraction first. Just because if we don't know exactly what we're destroying yet, it's probably more risky to just hurl something at the clock tower and hope we do it.
Okay. And that gives me a good use for a token then. So I'll say you look over the one guard who's left. Actually, one is not paying much attention to you guys with all the chaos going on, and two, you realize now that there is a glowing green hand sliding out of his chest and just reaching up, grabbing his face, and he's basically slumping back to the ground. There is a ghost currently feeding on him, so he is very distracted.
Not okay.
Hey,
The way is clear.
This party is so weird.
yeah. In that case, I think we try and sneak in.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go.
All right. So within, you're immediately kind of like deafened by these clashing, like striking gears and things, like all up through the tower. As you look up, there's shadows and these like sort of dusty shafts of blue light. But also you start seeing these telltale, like essentially cracks of like orange lightning in the air where time is fracturing. And so you realize several of the stories above you, actually, the tower appears to be in different eras of its history. And all the way up at the very top, you can just sort of make out like a bright orange star that is like essentially caught in the gears between the clock tower faces and seems to be the fulcrum of this region of the time paradox. Yeah, those are the major beats. I'm gonna not dwell on the Hermit and AI fighting for now. We'll say
Wait,
most of those people.
Where's that?
It's in the
Oh.
options, but at this point, I think it has a purpose to fill.
Interesting. I think
a supercomputer. Yeah, actually. So now that I'm reading this, you've mixed in with the gears. You see, Nefret, a lot of Horus's research and contraptions have been essentially set up here, and that's contributing to this.
he'll kind of surreptitiously try to take some notes. I don't think he's made it into the clock tower yet, and so he's really excited to kind of take some of the ideas and maybe put them to good use later. Like, can I hold on to this knowledge with me as I reset the loop? I don't know. I'm just going to draw pictures, see if I can bring it with me. So he's like furiously trying to, I guess, assess how things work.
Nice. I'm going to throw out a twist while we're at it. So this can help explain why there's not many people in here. The weird time shenanigans means that all of the spiders in here have evolved like millennia in the last hour. So you start realizing that there are gigantic spiders making their way down the inside of the tower towards you.
Excellent. Good. Good.
Oh no.
Good. That's what we needed in this situation.
It's huge spiders.
I don't think that Nefert will notice. I mean, he's like deep in this research and it's of a rival, so he probably is oblivious to these spiders.
Nice. Question: are you purely taking notes, or would Nefret be like, say, pocketing something literally
Oh,
into your
yeah,
dimension?
anything
Okay.
that looks like he thinks it won't break the time loop and kill everyone. So maybe a bit of assessment before that, but yeah.
So, follow-on question: your memories have persisted across loops. Have you noticed? Do things that you put into your pocket dimension remain there across loops?
Ooh, fascinating. Wow, probably. I would think. I would think so. But like maybe they did start to decay or deteriorate or get weird as I take them out loop after loop.
Okay. This is starting to give me an idea of why you guys are persisting across the loops, but we'll get back to that.
And we're getting weirder every loop.
Yeah.
Never,
Right,
never
so-
used to be like a normal person on his first loop through.
Yeah. So I think you've got basically all the tools you need to destabilize the tower, whether it's dealing with the spiders or using the barrels.
What do these
So-
spiders look like, Kevin?
What's that?
What do the spiders look like?
Large spiders. They are. They have like, so there's that same kind of like glowing orange, almost like cracks of light, occasionally drifting off their fur, because they're still like basically time particles soaked into them. For the most part, they're just these giant Goliath spiders. Some of them seem to have some like fungus and mold and stuff growing on them because they've just been in this single environment for eons in the last hour.
I know that the art is like a gondola in the spider web, but it also looks like a banana with all the banana shenanigans.
As well.
Yeah.
And you probably start realizing that they've also spun webs, which are disrupting a lot of the like Horus's technology in the upper stories.
So cool. Yeah.
So what's our best chance for destabilizing this area here? Do you think that the getting one of those canisters in some of these chips and gears and everything is the way to go?
If I know anything about my experiments, they're very sensitive, so perhaps.
Ooh. Now that you say that, it's also possible Nefret at this point is just like, well, or we could pull this plug.
Maybe. You think?
You are the #1 scientist, right?
Number one? I'm number one? Oh. His hand starts to shake as he like moves towards the plug that he thinks is going to shut things down.
Do you want to try that? Mm-hmm. Do you think, is that like a realize?
I will I'll look at Chacoma and just have this big smile as I pull the plug and say, #1 scientist, and pull it.
Amazing.
Does it work?
I'm inclined to say it does, because I feel like you are at least as smart as he is, and you've been around his work before. So it would be logical that you would in fact be correct, even if you doubted yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it is the right plug, and as you can still hear the skittering of the spiders coming down, but what you see is way up above them, that little orange glowing star just winks out, and as it does, the different eras of the clock tower, like it's almost like they start going out of focus as they're trying to slam back into the present. But in this case, you get literal slamming. Like it's kind of like a Jenga tower where somebody slides in a new level to smash out the old one. And this temporal like resetting is violent. Like the tower begins to buckle and shake, and so suddenly all these gears and mainframes and stuff that are kind of precarious are falling like scythe blades and boulders. And like Spider gets smushed, like knocked off, like some of the scaffolding gets shattered, pieces start breaking through the wall and tumbling out into the courtyard.
All of this is happening immediately after he says #1 scientist, and he's just smiling and he's like frozen there, like.
Yeah, I feel like there's like too long of a moment of all of us just like looking around, like, huh.
Well, that's perfect, because since each scene ends with looping, we'll say, "Yep." Right as you guys are like, "Well, that worked," and then a giant gear, like, or maybe a clock hand, just guillotines down on the three of you.
Oh God.
And you basically blink, and the party is fine, the clock tower is fine, and you see the comet blaze overhead, and you hear the of Horus leading on the pier.
Oh.
But that means scene 1 is done, and
Hey,
you can
we did it!
get your. So go ahead and flip over your third cards, because you have access to those now. And even though you have to get out of scene 1 again, you now know a ton of what's going to happen. But this is, and this makes sense, I think, based on the ghost comments. So you will be able to get further away, and you have a lead on the Contessa. Her castle, like, is outside town, but like you would probably have enough information, Mary, that you know the route there.
Okay.
And you would know that's where she died.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
do people want to highlight what new abilities they gained?
Sure, this will be fun. So, I'm a fan of trashy novels, and
Love that.
and I have the ability to basically insert a book into the canon, and people are fans of it.
That is amazing.
Fantastic. Nice. What else?
I have some really cool bracelets, and I can send gusts of wind through them. I can move like the wind using them, or I can make a whirlwind that kicks up dust and debris with them.
That's awesome. So you're Storm, Nefrit is Professor X, Doctor Strange. So and Yakima is essentially Thor.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome. Nice. And Allison, what did you get for your third?
I have a question. Where is this card? I'm so bad at life.
Nope. If you look on your Nefrit card row, it'll be the third one. It's face down right now. But if you mouse over it, you can flip it face up.
Is it the laws of nature?
Yes.
Cool.
Did it flip for you?
So I can peek.
Oh, if you just back out to the table and mouse over it, instead of clicking view, right below that is a flip. There you go.
Cool. Okay.
And I just did a double take because I was like, why is it upside down? But the picture is upside down.
And I kid you not, I did not look at this earlier, but there's fruit in it.
Oh, nice. It's a thing. You have like a whole orchard dimension, probably.
I'm just really vibing with Nefrit and Nefrit's love of weird things in interdimensional space.
That is awesome.
Let me share this with you guys. So, laws of nature. You founded the Kepler, a psychic science council, tracking dimensional weak spots. Once per scene, spot a localized anomaly, and choose one natural law it fails to obey. When you fix the anomaly, you can heal one harm. I have a spectrometer and warp glue. I feel like warp glue might come in handy.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. There's anomalies everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, how are you guys going to get to scene 2 with everything you know now? We'll skip rolls altogether unless you're doing something you haven't done before.
I vote not killing Horus. That might help us. Do we still have the same goal? Or are we trying to get to the
Um,
Countess castle?
Yes, you do still need to destabilize the clock tower so that you can reach the castle.
Okay.
Uh,
But we could just like, we know how we just need to get into the clock tower and pull a plug now.
True. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, for recap, right now, so you know the smugglers are in that alley canal right behind the clock tower. There's the two guards kind of chilling at the door to the clock tower. The party's in full swing. Horace is over there about to get ghosted. Um, and we'll say one of the two guards at the door is the one who has the two pistols, who didn't recognize Yakima.
I feel like I'd be a bad person if I didn't try to get Horace again. Just pull him away, like, hey, do the same kind of thing. Just like, hey.
That's fine. Yep, you already know the timing. So again, like he's uncomfortably leaning on you, but you make it away right before that hand gouges back.
Yeah.
I think
That's awesome.
Nefert at this point would try and summon an interdimensional cart, like a full fruit stand, and just like hide under it, like half the midriff shoved underneath the cart, the other half just like legs kicking out.
It's amazing.
And you know, Horace, I heard they have Jello shots in the next square. So if you want to go there,
I
Yeah.
love Jello shots.
yeah.
Suddenly he's the Cookie Monster for some reason.
Jello shots brings that out in all of us.
J is for Jello shots.
He probably hands you his mug. He's like, "Hold my beer." It's
Okay.
like off. And as you hear it, it's mostly empty, but you hear it. You hear that metallic object sloshing around inside it.
In the mug.
That was where he was storing his
Oh.
his old battered version of your necklace.
Yeah. I'll take it. Mine now.
Ooh,
Okay.
I actually have an idea then.
Okay.
So now that we have a beer stein, I think I'm going to just like force it down like an alleyway, just make it have a large clattering sound, and see if I can use that to distract the guards and get them away from the door.
Oh, hello. That works. Sorry, what I mean is that concept sounds great. I was distracted by a cat, and then I was distracted by the fact that the guards could also be reading trashy romance.
Yeah. I thought about it, but I don't want them to know who I am.
That's perfect. Yep. Okay. So we'll say that I don't think that requires a roll because you can basically just like you've already did a hammer time on the first loop. It's just you're hammering something different this time. But so yeah, you're able. Are you setting it down the same alley with the smugglers to kind of like lure the guards there and make them go, "Oh crap, there's people back here."
Yeah, that actually sounds like a great idea.
Okay. Side. So they definitely hear it. Guy with pistols goes, and other guy goes too. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of distracted. So they both walk around the corner, and a moment later you hear one of them go, "Hey, what are you doing back here?" They are from opposite like syndicates, so that's not going to end well. But it's not your problem.
And I'm just gonna look down at Nefrit under the cart and be like, "Do you want to go pull the plug?"
His legs kick twice, and you hear muffled, "Indeed."
Number one. Nice.
I think I don't know. I always like to maybe use a loop. This is Outer Wilds logic, but use a loop to do something you haven't tried yet. So maybe on this one, Nefert will try to scale up higher because I feel like we only got to like a certain level in the clock tower before, right?
Yep.
And like I don't know, maybe he'll try to like see if those spiders are emitting any kind of silk that he could grab onto or something where he can just like get up a level just to see if there's anything else worth doing up here while we have access to this area.
Sounds awesome. Quantum silk.
Yes.
So that all sounds fantastic, and just looking at the cards you guys have, it's like it looks like Jimeri, you basically have wings if you wanted to fly,
I do,
or
yeah.
or I now realize Nefert can
Can
also
I fly,
like.
though?
I see no reason not to.
Rad.
And I guess Nefert can also reverse gravity, so there's no shortage of ways up on top of climbing and ladders. Yeah, any of these will work. How are you guys? Yeah, are you getting up? Are you scaling the outside and then going in, or are you going to go in and then try to scale up?
Ooh, let's scale up on the outside. That's more dramatic.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess the spiders are inside, though. Let's go inside. Let's go where there's spiders, but... Or, how do I control gravity? I'm looking for that on my cards.
So indirectly, when you spot an anomaly, but since you get to choose when you spot it, you could be like, oh, it turns out gravity over on this side of the tower is backwards. Elevator!
I'll definitely say that, because does Jacoma have a way to get up otherwise?
There are stairs, right?
Oh, of course, the stairs. So basic. Yes. You take the stairs. I'll race you. And he like turns to the left and sees a gravity anomaly and shoots for it.
And you mentioned that there are like different distinct times in each range of the tower, right?
Yep.
So I feel like there are points where like I start walking up and I hit the boundary and I disappear, and then like later will reappear like in a different one, just kind of like hop around a few times.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Jabari, are you going as well?
Yeah, but I want to do something cool too.
Okay.
So I take off my shawl. It says I have a pair of knitting needles.
Hell yeah.
Maybe I have a knitted shawl that I am continually knitting to make longer, and I hold it together with the knitting needles. I don't know.
That's awesome.
So I take them off and reveal this enormous pair of wings that sprouts from my back because I'm cool.
So cool.
So.
And I will, I guess, scale the outside of the clock tower and try to find there's gotta be a busted window somewhere, or a bustable window somewhere.
Yeah, it looks like there's one right on the picture.
Great.
Cool. And Nefret, you're basically what? You're falling up?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm also reverse climbing with the tether of the quantum silk out of a spider, just for like a good handhold, because he's a little nervous to go like freebasing up a wall of anti-gravity. So he just is using it like a little guiding line for himself.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, so as you are reaching the top, Yakima like glitches in off the top of the stairs, and you just see this like archangel silhouette outside the clock face, and then it just furls back up until it's this, hunched old lady who walks in through the door or the crack in the window.
Neat.
I do a couple more rows of knitting as I go.
Nice. And I like the idea that now that you're near them, the spiders are actually fairly harmless, and you're able to gather some quantum silk. You're up at the top floor where that like orange time rift is. You can study it. You can interact with it. What do you do? Do you put it in your pocket dimension?
I was kind of thinking like bag of holding logic. That might not be a good idea.
Was it when you put a portal into a bag of holding, it just explodes?
Yeah, if you put a bag of holding or another extra dimensional thing in a bag of holding, it's pretty much game over. Yeah, I think I will. Can we interact with it at all? I'm gonna look for. Actually, I'll say. Can I use some of your yarn ball? Yarn.
You want me yarn? Yeah, of course.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to throw it into an intimate dimensional portal. Okay, here we go. And he just chucks it in and like has it unspool, hopefully.
Nice.
And intends to tug it back out and see if there's any changes to it.
Okay. So when you first tug, it catches a little bit, and then it starts to give, and then it gives faster, and then it actually starts coming out knitted.
What is it knitted into?
I wanted to say scarf, but actually it's coming out as a scarf. Yes. And right as the end of it pops out, what is on it? Hang on, I've got to do this right. The end of it is covered in blood. There we go.
Oh God. He'll sheepishly
Jimeri-
hand it back to Jumeri. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sometimes things don't work out how we expected. And he'll just hand it back to her.
Oh
Jimeri,
wow,
I
look
think
at
you,
this lovely garter stitch.
yeah, you recognize the stitch as your own.
So weird.
Yeah. Were you trying to have any other effect on the rift? Like, were you thinking that would? Because
I guess
well,
just
go
wanted to
ahead.
see what would happen first. This is the source of why we're stuck here, is what we can assume, right?
Yeah, and I keep going back and forth on. It's presumably why you're stuck in this area, and presumably it's. Well, you know what? The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking that this is actually the reason the loop is going. But since clearly there's going to be something in scene 3 that you need as well, so I'm basically it's probable that this is the cause of the loop itself. It's also keeping you here, but you will need some kind of key to finish unlocking it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking at this point that between what Jimeri recognizes her own handiwork and what Nefrit would probably pick up on, this is very similar to your seeds. I'm thinking that this is effectively a pocket dimension, and it's like a nesting doll. Like it's like the portal thing, right? Like this is the pocket dimension that you guys are all inside. And because you are currently in a pocket dimension, that's having some effect on why you guys are managing to retain your memories. So like this is like the Futurama thing where like you're basically holding your world like in your hands.
This is so 3D chess right now.
Oh man, so cool. I don't think I would do anything to mess with it then. I don't know. I would almost ask like Jacoma, like, does this help you with your syndicate problems to know that everything all across time, it's here, it's right here. Can you use this to help you with your, what is it called, doing things?
I just kind of shrug my shoulders. Possibly. Like I don't think this is gonna stop them from trying to kill me the next time they see me.
Are you sure? And he will reach into his bag and pull out a seed, and overlay it upon the scene, is what the card says, but he'll kind of try to put it in there, and I think he's trying to change what Jacoma looks like to the Syndicate people, like by altering the timeline, hopefully, to get them off Jacoma's back.
That might be one way to do it. But maybe if by solving this, if there's a way to preserve like the proof of it, this could be the kind of thing that, if was revealed to the world, might bring them down.
No.
Oh, like topple the syndicate.
Even better. And he'll put away the seed that he'd been conjuring, like a really fake, like I don't know, those mustache with the glasses and like the nose kind of masks, like he's like, yeah, it's just like a horrible disguise, and he like puts it back in his pocket dimension. He's like, even better idea.
Yeah, I'm just imagining Jacoba with a banana just on top as a hat.
That was pretty much the idea. Yeah.
Nice.
Permanently.
So we'll say maybe with that level of sort of like mastery over the rift, you now we'll effectively call that like that is enough disabled that you can breach the plaza and get to the castle. Without having to like straight up destroy it.
I guess
since destroying it will end the loop.
Yeah, with Jacoma's point though, like once the pocket dimension disguise is put away, I guess Nefrit would like to search for a way then to put some kind of evidence in the pocket dimension, because that even though decays will stay with us. So he would ask the group, like, can we take some kind of evidence to help bring down the syndicate? But I need to store it in my tiny dimension, extraplanar, scientific space.
What was it you got from Horus?
You got
I got
the necklace.
like little royal crest, the insignia thing, right? Made from what's my country called? From the metal compound from Paracebo.
And you would probably like recognize, like, presumably they don't give those out, so that's presumably contraband or stolen or
Yeah.
something.
I believe, yeah.
I mean, is that from the syndicate?
It was from Horus while he was working with the syndicate, and they're probably the ones who actually stole it. Because they would have had to steal it for him, and he was using the compound to try and do his work.
There's probably traces of the metal in the pieces that are like holding this tower together, right? Like that are making it tick.
Yeah. It might not be all the evidence, but it might be a piece of evidence, and you could probably add.
Yeah, I think he would put it in the bag, not knowing if they'll get it in the next loop. And hopefully it'll survive enough loops to be useful.
It's better. I'd like to take it back home one day. So take care of it, please.
No promises.
Maybe another thing we can use is the piece or the knitting stuff that we threw in and came back knitted together. I'm wondering if like part of it coming back, like there's any traces of the effect of throwing it into the anomaly, like maybe like some kind of residue or something.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Also, whose blood is this?
I don't know if you guys have a way to tell yet. Unless somebody has an idea for how you would tell. Okay.
Not
yeah,
that kind of scientist. Too useful.
Yep. It is someone's.
All right, he'll pop that in the bag too.
Okay.
Or the pocket dimension. My seed storage unit.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Do you guys want to venture forth to the castle?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
You can probably see it really well from the broken window.
You can. Actually, yeah, that's a great point. So you could like schmucks go back down and walk there. But that seems like maybe it's no longer necessary.
Gravity always gets weird everywhere. Certainly. Look, another anomaly. He points out the window.
And what I guess Yakuba could just hammer jump.
Yeah, I was about to say, if I'm Thor, I probably can just hold on and Thor's hammer fly.
Nice. Okay. So you can see the plaza down below because nothing has interrupted it this time. It's largely still going. You can see the firelight. As you're disembarking from the clock tower, you probably hear it striking like maybe it's been half an hour, so like 12:30. And a light rain is starting to fall. So yeah, I guess if you're taking the high road, you kind of can drift over or fly over the party with no issue, and you are able to kind of land over near this castle. It's a little bit outside like the main sort of areas of the town and industrial complex, so you're almost more into like the mountains and coast, but it's still like within 10 minutes. And there's now the rain's kind of really picking up. There's some fog rolling in, and you can hear the waves like breaking on the cliff base below you. So yeah, so Mary, from her research in particular, would definitely know. Yeah, this was where the Contessa Yarny used to rule, um, until, as you've learned, like she seems to have been murdered fairly recently. So it's carved into the cliffs, kind of like over this little bridge. So it's out kind of in the water a bit. Um, yeah, there's these gargoyles that you've figured out. Some of them are actually robots. Um,
As one
As-
does.
as one does. Um, let's see.
Is there a party still going on here?
Hmm. Before I answer, do you have either an opinion or a preference?
No, I was just curious if there was like a royal party happening here as
Did-
opposed to the like town party.
Did you just ask Reba if she has a preference for infinite jello shots? Is that what I heard?
Well, see, it's a castle. I don't think there'd be jello shots,
That's true.
but there would be champagne flutes, obviously.
Yes. So yeah, my thought was that it's definitely more subdued. Like the rager is not here. And I think from your findings, like you think the Contessa might have actually again been killed, potentially even like basically this evening, prior to the loop. But for all that, you actually don't see a ton of signs of like funeral stuff going on either. In fact, you don't really see many guards at all. Like the front door is open. You see some of those gargoyles, but if you stay away, like they don't seem to come near. You can hear occasional sounds, like it doesn't look deserted, but it definitely, there's less presence than you would expect, and certainly not a wide open party like the plaza behind you. Which means, yeah, I guess you can sort of just walk up to the open gate if you want, or if you want to pursue another way in. Height isn't really an obstacle, so.
How far into the loop is this? Like, do we have a certain time where we will automatically die and reset? Or is it just kind of like as long as you can get before you die? That's as long
So,
as
yeah.
the loop is.
My current thought is that you guys have all compared notes and realized you've rarely made it past an hour without something going wrong and killing you. That being said, it's closing in on 1 o'clock now, and this is further away from the clock tower than you guys have been. So if you don't die, maybe you'll find out. Yeah.
So before we go into the tower, could I have I'm sorry for asking this, could I have a quick bio break really quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll head to bio break. Have the castle card pulled up. That is where we are heading when we come back. And yeah, stick around for more ATMA with Meromorph Games, and we will be back shortly. Hello, we are back. We're here with First Fridays, which is the first Friday of every month, which means we are in March. Buckle up. It's only gonna be April. We're here with Meromorph Games. Kevin, he's leading an amazing game of ATMA. We started off, for those of you who've been watching from moment one, with the server being down, and then Kevin was gonna test this game that he literally just created like a day ago. And then there was a huge teaser, and now he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. We're going to play ATMA. So like either way we win. So like it's been an exciting night. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are stuck in a time loop, as is always the case on this stream, apparently. We are trying to get to the Countess's castle, recently deceased, resurrected as a ghost. And we're just trying to make it out of this loop and end its infinite torture. We keep dying. So take it away, Kevin. Take us back into the intense world that you have created for us.
Yeah. All right. So, yep, we are at the Castle Yarny. You have intel that the Contessa was murdered, but with the time shenanigans going on, she's been seen since the murder, which is disturbing. And so yeah, you're basically standing at the gates of this castle, which appear to be open and unguarded. You can hear the waves crashing below you, and you can occasionally hear the wing beats of robotic AI gargoyles patrolling the skies. So you're free to choose how to enter. So we left the clock tower where you have understood and sort of understood the anomaly there. You had some hints about the Contessa, so presumably somewhere in this scene you will find more that will help you understand the anomaly, her role in it, and what you might need to do to like fully take control of it and break the loop. Which, speaking of, so the micro goals in this scene, you guys can help me choose which of these is most appropriate. Deposing an aspiring monarch and claiming their title, or taming a misunderstood beast in the dungeons. That being said, sometimes at this point it becomes just, well, we already kind of know what we're doing. Find clues. But if either of those lines up well in your mind, just holler.
Is that at any point in the scene? Or do we set that as a compass?
So yeah, usually you would set it now to help give direction, but given that you guys have some fairly strong direction, I actually often find myself not relying on the scene goals once the narrative has kind of like cleared itself up for us.
Mm-hmm.
Is it by the third scene it's possible we won't even read them.
Cool. And does Sio Mary still have her wings out?
Probably. I probably just landed here. I mean, I guess I could have put them away when I'm coming up, when I'm approaching the castle. I feel like it might be rude to walk into a castle full wings out. Maybe I'll wrap my shawl back around myself.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, Nefrit will have the scarf with the blood on it and just kind of like keep like looking at it and being like reaching into the pocket dimension and pulling out various tools. And like, I guess he has a lot of ladders in there too. And like just finding a tool that can help, but nothing is very useful for this. So he's just like, confound it. How shall we go in? Shall we announce ourselves? That never works well for me.
I'm not one for announcing myself.
Rather take this one super quiet.
Yeah. I mean, there's more than one way into a castle.
I have a question for you, Kevin.
Sure.
So, I see a phrase on one of my cards that is really interesting, and it's going back to the grenade. It's called
Okay.
Garden Walls, and what I'm wondering is it's able to cause nearby flora to bloom. How quickly do those plants grow?
I would my guess, and feel free to override this, is rapidly.
Yeah, because I'm a Legend of Zelda fan, and I'm wondering if we just put down a grenade, if we could sprout some vines up one of the walls and climb up that way.
That sounds amazing.
All right, then I will roll and see how well this particular vine sprouts.
Okay. It goes pretty well. I'm gonna hold my token for one more moment. Okay, so yeah, your grenade sprouts this what, basically like sheet of light that causes the vines to just grow up?
Yeah, and maybe like the vines as they're climbing up are almost attracted to the light itself, and that's what gets them to cling to the walls and gives it enough support.
Awesome. Yeah, so that works. Makes you a nice scaffold up to probably it passes several windows, so you could take your pick of like which one to enter in. Yeah.
I think I'll just start climbing and just recommend people follow.
Okay. So you choose one of the windows to sort of like disembark, and I think the glass pane kind of it pushes open with a creak. You manage to get inside, no issue, and inside it's almost colder than it was outside. Like the rain is no longer hitting you, but it's just like stone that just sucks the heat out of the air and out of you as you touch it. Like you can see your breath misting in the air. Every sound echoes down the corridors. They're like very sparsely decorated, and in many places you actually see like like blank spots on the wall where decorations have been removed. Um, and because I need to spend a token and I want to have fun with this, I'm thinking you take several steps down this hallway before you hear like a little click and a beep. And as you look down, you realize you have stepped on something you would recognize this very well, having worked for the Nero Syndicate. They have basically sappers, right? Like explosives experts who often double as performance artists, both in terms of they are also performers, but also like they treat explosives as a performance. And so what you realize is like the castle seems to be booby trapped by Nero, and you are standing on like a little mine, and you can hear it beeping. You see little threads of purple light like illuminating the wires out from around it into a nice giant, basically flower pattern, and it starts to glow bright, and you're like, oh crap, and then it blows you up.
Yeah.
Like dead blown up?
I was gonna go for that to enjoy the time loop. However,
Nice.
if somebody has an idea, and also you guys can tell me how close Nefrit and Jumeri are behind you.
Nefrit's very close. Very,
Okay.
very close.
So you're looking at fatal amounts of landmine about to explode. But ideas welcome.
No, I think Nefrit's gonna die.
Yeah, I think we reset the loop.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So there's this absolutely beautiful explosion, like colored flames. The shockwave that goes out the window, like puffs out into a smoke cloud in the shape of a heart, and you don't get to enjoy any of it as you open your eyes and the party's going on, and you see the comet go overhead, and you hear Horus burping.
No, I hate this party. It's the worst party we've been to.
Hey, next
Alright,
time,
Horace,
different
come here.
window.
Different window. Oops, and I will spend those tokens. Yeah, so as before, we can largely gloss over things that aren't particularly different. If somebody wants to give me like the rundown of which parts you want to repeat and where you want to start deviating, please do.
I just think at this point, Nefert will, on the way out of the party, like grab the drink right off the platter as it goes by, and like dip somebody as they're about to like fall, and just do all the things like reacting to things that he knows is going to happen just for fun as he's
Nice.
exiting.
I'm interested when I talk to Horace, and if he would offer me his stein again, if it's empty this time.
Ooh, okay, so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Is it empty? Or have you inadvertently duplicated the object? Or have you duplicated the object, but the decay that Nefert was expecting has ravaged one or both of them?
Well, on Nefrit's end, he'll pull out the object from the pocket dimension, and it's like rusted and like it looks much, much older, but like that's the one you gave him. So like he has that one in hand for sure.
Okay.
But as for the other one, I don't know.
What do you think, Reba?
I don't know. I don't know if it would make sense to have duplicated it. And I think it would be funny to see his reaction of like
Not there.
like him like shaking his cup and it not being in there.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So we've learned something. You can actually permanently relocate stuff across loops with the time rift. Ooh, but for fun, let's say his mug actually now looks kind of like corroded and decayed.
Ooh.
Like there's been some bleed on the time effect.
I don't like it.
Awesome. Nice. Cool. We've learned something.
Yay, education is fun.
That's what I said in my dissertation. No one liked it.
So let's see. I think we established that you've got a good enough understanding of the rift now. You don't really have to, you don't have to touch anything, I think, at this point in the clock tower. So yeah, you can make it back to the castle either on foot, or flying again if you want. Preference?
Probably flying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would save us time.
Yeah. Cool. So you're standing once more before the gate, grenade in hand. Um,
And I just look at the grenade and ponder, and do we want to try an alternative route?
Mm, I think we learned last time that death is in that window, so yes.
And I just pocket the grenade. All right.
There's got to be like a traveled corridor where like the servants work in the castle that wouldn't be booby trapped, right?
Probably. That sounds like a great use of a realize roll, potentially.
Get it, get it.
What does realize? Bright or calm? Well, I'm rather bright. Famous last
Ooh.
words.
Okay, well, easy answer is, um, so you have some intel and just some general knowledge of like royal castles. You very quickly piece together that, kind of down. Actually, you can see it on the picture. You see the little like stairs in the bottom right that lead up to that tiny little door.
Oh, cool.
It's almost in like the cliff faces, lower than the castle, but you would imagine that leads into like the cellars, the dungeons, etc. And those stairs are probably go down to some little rickety pier where supplies arrive occasionally.
Hmm.
And you're like, that's the way in. And way down in the crashing foam, you can actually see some like gondolas and small boats that are seem to be tied up and bobbing, like almost getting swamped. And you guys walk in this. It's just a carved stone, rectangular gap basically in the cliff face. It's pitch black inside, and 5 steps in, you hear like click beep, and uh, it turns out that the sappers also thought of that one. Um, and so,
It's worth a try.
yep. And you cut back to the gate, like, all right, well, we've rolled out several of them.
Oh my god. I love it.
Which must mean it's Nefrit's turn for a bright idea.
I think Nefert is still talking about his dissertation, and he's just like, what was they said, Nefert, don't focus so much on the obvious. You have to tell us about the interdimensional anomalies. And he's going to point and create an anomaly of electromagnetism that will disable the trap that keeps going off, that they keep exploding with.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you realize that there's like, we'll say basically like, it turns out on the main entrance, even though Yakima can see there are hundreds of mines, but you could spot that there's like a little narrow anomaly path where the mines are basically like deadened and the lights are off.
And he'll kind of walk through gingerly, leading everyone through that path that is very unnecessarily windy through the hallway.
That's awesome. As you progress, you all start to hear some music playing from up ahead and maybe in like a kind of a side area. And Yakima, you would recognize this is probably one of the soloists who came here to rig the castle. But they don't expect visitors. They assume visitors die. Because I have it out. So you get through the entry hall. You're past the mines. You start to see. We'll say you're in this kind of large antechamber area. There's again, you see signs of stuff having been like torn down or moved out. There's some broken like picture frames and things. You see some display cases, many of which now are smashed. A few of them still have like ancient relics and weapons, like just really old rusty stuff. There's a few tapestries, several of which are now torn down and bloodstained. And we'll say, for meaningful purposes, there's one door that you hear the music coming from, and there's another door ajar to a salon type, like an area that's much more luxuriously decorated, far less destroyed. And from in there, you can see this. Basically, there's one of these Nero data obelisks on the table in that room that you can see through the door that's ajar.
Hmm.
I have I kind of have an idea, and I want to run it by you.
Huh?
Because so we've got a Nero soloist here who is rigging up all these explosives. We know the Contessa has died recently, and we're finding like a lot of artifacts and symbolism of Nero being here. Is it possible that the Contessa died specifically as like a play by Nero to try and take more power?
It's a good theory. Are you asking me for ways to pursue it and find the answer?
I guess so, or just throwing out an possible idea.
Yeah. That's right. Actually, I mean that does seem like the type of things you, Mary, would probably have had some. Like you did research on the Contessa, you probably have an inkling whether or not that's the case. Um,
Should I roll to know that, or
sure. Well, you just rolled. I'll actually let you just say you probably have information, and you can decide which one it is, whether it was a power play or not.
that makes sense? But did we choose a goal for the castle?
We didn't really, since the goal was kind of like get more info. But if you guys want to weave one of these in, by all means, we can. They were sort of like depose an aspiring monarch, or tame a misunderstood beast.
Because if it was like a power play by the syndicate, then maybe they have somebody in mind that they were going to place as a figurehead.
Ooh, okay.
I like
This
that.
leads into a great idea that I was toying with. So how about this? In that salon room, you see the data obelisk. Like Yakima and Jumeri have started discussing this theory, but Yakima, you were in thermocephaly several years ago, when the Contessa was alive and well, and portraits of the Contessa line this room that you're currently in. And the thing is, they no longer like you. Even though they say Contessa Yarny, it is not the Contessa you recognize. It is a different one.
Interesting. And I'll just kind of make notion to them and say that is definitely not the Contessa. So,
Hmm. Could it be a sister? Sometimes these monarchs keep things in the family.
could be that, or maybe something like trying to put like a I'm blanking on the term here, but like
Like a puppet.
yeah, like someone that can imitate it and act like everything is, or act like the Contessa and everything is fine, while behind the scenes is just a completely different person.
Someone who could perform the role.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, interesting.
Hmm. Can I take one of those pictures and put them in my seed storage vault of interdimensional stuff? Can I do
Yes.
that anyway? Maybe I can't even do that. Hold on, let me look. Maybe I can only take things out. I can link to a pocket dimension by planting a seed. Is it cool that I'm putting things in my pocket dimension?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Then I'll throw it in there.
Okay.
And I'll be interested to see the next time what happens to the person in the photo. Like if the corruption and the corrosion, because it will stay in there. Like we can now know that things can be changed across loops. So I kind of want to see if that will help us understand the nature of the link between these folks.
So I'm thinking, so you have no trouble doing that. You can grab one of the photos. I just picked a random card. We'll say this is what the Contessa looks like in the pictures, which is not what Yakima remembers. And as you're putting it into your little pocket dimension, I think you hear two things. You hear some kind of heavy thumping footsteps in the hall outside the salon, and also you hear the music kind of peter out and come to a halt. And I think glancing from the doorway, whoever's close to the doorway, you can see it appears that there's one of these AI gargoyles, but this one is wearing like a little bow tie and holding like a serving tray. It's almost like a butler style that seems to be
Aw.
tromping down the hall.
That's what made the noise?
That appears to be the footsteps. The music stopping is presumably something else.
Hmm.
I don't know what to do. We haven't made it this far. I find comfort in knowing what comes next.
Take comfort. If something goes wrong, we have another chance.
Yeah.
So yeah, you I guess if nobody does anything in particular, yeah, you see this gargoyle tromp up to the hallway outside, basically where the two doors were, like the antechamber with all the ruins stuff. And it doesn't expect anybody to be in the salon. That door was already open, so it actually is knocking on the other door. And there's a beat, and then you hear this kind of like airy, delicate voice just say, "Enter," and the gargoyle opens the door and goes in and shuts it behind him. You get a brief glimpse of it's fairly dark, and you see almost like some spotlight illumination in there, like it's a small theater or something. But then the door shuts, and you start hearing muffled voices.
I want to listen. I want to know. I want to, I guess, get back out into that hallway area and see if I can like press my ear against the door. I don't have anything that would help me like hear any better.
Okay. Ooh. While it's not explicitly stated on the card, would this be something your wind spirits could help with?
That'd be cool.
Like, less of a like pushing stuff, but more like I don't know if they're literally wind spirits. Maybe they can almost like be invisible little eavesdroppers.
Ooh, yeah, maybe. Sut and Alka, they'll go in. I don't know if the door is locked or if there's like a keyhole in the door, but I feel like that I just like the image of them going through the keyhole.
Yeah, cool. What is that? Yeah, so do you want to do that?
Yeah, I do. I want to try that. I have to roll a calm to do that, I think. Oh wait, I rolled most recently.
Sorry. Crit. Yeah. So what does this look like when you summon them and like send them forth?
I don't know what these wind spirits are. I'm kind of imagining like a Chinese dragon, like in Spirited Away when you see Haku like flying through the sky.
Nice.
And imagine like twin dragons that sort of come out of my like one each bracelet, twirling sort of around each other, but being able to like become very thin and very small, like, and fluctuate their size and sort of fill whatever space they're meant to, like a cat.
Awesome. Are they predominantly visible, or is it more like you only see them when they sort of move past something that like ruffles in their presence? Or maybe like fog or something.
I feel like maybe at first you can see them, and if you know what to look for, maybe you can like see them like catch the light in a certain way, but they're mostly just like they affect the things around them. I'm sure they cause breeze. They're probably not completely unnoticeable.
Nice. Yeah, so that works. It's nice castle with these big brass plate locks, huge chunky keyhole to go through, and we'll shortcut to what they basically relay back to you, so you can essentially see this Yeah, so there's this dark theater. There's a few narrow rows of like these thick velvet cushioned chairs. This tiny little creaky wooden stage. The curtains have been like one's pulled back, one's like ripped down and moth eaten, and there's this tiny intense spotlight. And on the stage is this one of the Nero soloists. Um, that being said, we're going to say her face actually matches the pictures. Like if you took off the mask, it looks like the Contessa, or at least the new Contessa. Um, and the gargoyle butler is talking to her. What is he thinking about? I think he's brought her a tray of like some refreshments, and then also on there is like a few essentially like the arming devices for several of the traps and stuff. And you see her hand is kind of like choosing something, and eventually she takes the champagne flute. And as she's drinking, he's giving her like a report on the efforts to basically clear out the contraband from the castle, secure the castle, and begin essentially rebuilding the clock tower experiment to try and correct it. Which is that's like weeks or months of work, but he's relaying how the plans are beginning.
Okay.
That's juicy tea.
Scalding hot tea.
Some scalding hot tea we just got from your wind spirits.
They're gossips.
Yakima, what are the odds you would recognize? So if the pictures of the Contessa are of a specific Nero soloist, what are the odds that it's somebody who's been working for them since you were there?
I'm not sure. What do you think? I could make sense to me. I could go either way.
Yeah, I feel like it's more satisfying if you're like have that dawning similar to Horus, where it's like, oh crap, this is somebody from my past, or at least somebody I have a past with.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
So,
I'm terrible at off the cuff names. So,
Well, you have a pass. You created a whole game full of NPCs with names.
we'll go with Cameron. And tell me something you know about this particular soloist, and then I'll add some stuff that as well.
so I think. Ooh, I've got it. So, Giacomo, when she was part of the syndicate, was with her twin brother Serrano, and I think Cameron was probably like a right hand man to Serrano,
Okay.
like two peas in a pod kind of thing, brothers in arms. And what I think happened is when I was ousted, it kind of created a rift between the family,
Okay.
or like between us and Cameron, and was probably a player in the involvement of ousting Giacomo.
Okay. So Cameron was tight with your brother and contributed to Yakima's like attempted murder or exile.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Um, I will add so her handiwork is all over. Like she's very clearly skilled with explosives. Um, would she use poison?
The age-old question.
Yes. Let's add that to the mix though. She is unique among the soloists in that she sometimes does in fact favor like the subtle performance. She's one of the few ones that uses poison, and maybe you know this because maybe she tried to poison you.
Could be.
Um, yes. And the final thing I will add, since I think Nefrit was asking about this earlier, you had no real way to identify the blood on the scarf, but now you are surrounded by other stained tapestries that have remarkably similar blood. And
You know I was going to ask about that too.
yeah,
As soon as you said bloodstained tapestries.
yes. So if you could figure out whose blood is on these tapestries, you might figure out whose blood came out of the rift.
Same problem. Different parts. And he's going to reach into his pocket dimension and start pulling out just beakers and magnifying glasses and anything that he can think of that can help him identify the blood.
That sounds good. Do you have like I don't know, like a testing lab or something? Seems like you would have.
Probably. He says
tests.
dimension full of equipment.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's fair. That being said, that sounds loud. So my thought is, the music has already stopped, but now the voices stop as well, and you hear that again, high airy voice as Cameron is like, "Someone's there. Nobody should be in here but us. Take care of it." And you hear that thumping as the gargoyle is coming towards the door.
Nefert just clinks the beakers together out of fear. Just a few of them smash. Sorry.
I think I might have been last to roll, so I can't do anything.
I don't know if Captain's enforcing that.
I've got an idea.
What's your idea?
So, since I haven't used the grenade yet this scene because we rewound, I'm going to now roll it up to the door and put up a hard light barrier to try and block the door from opening.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
So, let's see how we go.
Okay. So, yeah, that works. We'll say, just for fun as well, some of the rotting wood, like the trashed wood that's in the room and in the doorframe, actually also starts to like blossom and grow from that like phosphorescent light. But yes, this does. A moment later, the door. I guess maybe we'll say it pushes. So yeah, you hear the gargoyle trying to shove it into the barrier and can't. Then a second later, the door is ripped off its hinges the other way, and you see still behind the screen, like he still can't get through. But you see the gargoyle butler standing there staring. He's holding the door handle and chunk of the door in one hand. He's still holding the tray with the various like explosive detonators and the champagne, and because it feels like the right time to add this, and a trashy romance novel on the tray.
Yes.
But at the moment, yeah, he's just staring through, slightly dumbfounded. You can see the clockwork whirring as he's trying to process what to do about this problem. Also, now that the door is open, you see that the stage behind him is still lit but empty.
Is that champagne for us?
One of these things is for you guys, that's for sure. I don't know what this detonates, but if you don't want to find out, you'll surrender?
Well, surrender what?
He looks around. He's like, yourselves, your lives, the things you've stolen, everything. He settles on that as a good answer.
I feel like we have the same problems, but different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah, socializing is hard. That's why I'm a butler.
So hard.
I just want people to tell me what to do.
That's why I'm in academia.
I end up looking, I'm like, we haven't done anything yet, but two, you seem like a very reasonable person. I mean, you are totally a fan of clowning around a Harlequin romance novel, and clearly you're reasonable and you have good taste. So maybe we can talk this out.
That wasn't what she said, but I do love this novel, and you see it's like super dog-eared, and he's like 3/4 of the way through, and he's like, I'm just at the part where Clarissa surrenders her red nose.
how could you stop there? It's such a page turner. I mean, the thing with the lion tamer and the acrobat and
I know. I know. Yeah, this is why I hate it when that little bell rings like, "Oh, come do things for me." Like, I'm almost done with the book. What were we talking? He's very
Ooh.
flustered.
Ooh, I've got an idea. We'll get out of your hair and we'll just give you some time to maybe go find a quiet corner and finish it.
That would be very ideal. You seem trustworthy, so I can trust you to just you'll leave and you'll surrender yourselves at the gate or something.
Totally. That.
Of course.
X.
If not now, then on another loop, probably.
He's like, that would be great, and he just like knocks on the light barrier, and then he looks down at the door handle, basically sets the tray down, puts the broken door kind of crookedly back in the frame, and there's just the little gap where the handle was ripped out, and then a second later you see his hand appear and like kind of gingerly balance the handle in there. It's like completely cockeyed, but he's just like steps back, and you see his shadow recede. He's like, oh, no, nothing damaged.
Have I been able to tell in this time what the blood is, or where the source of the blood?
Yes. So yeah, the blood that came out of the rift matches the blood on several of the things here, and now as you're testing it, basically, you detect traces of poison. Somebody was like coughing up blood and essentially died here, and it very much matches like some of the other DNA evidence of the Contessa. That being said, so this soloist has now been off stage for a minute or two, which I feel like means she's up to something. I'll hold that thought for a second. Yes, so what else? So the gargoyle has replaced the door and walked away. Soloist is nowhere to be seen. What do you guys want to do?
I feel like we must use the time we have because we're not dead yet, and that's very odd for us.
We're doing pretty good this time around. I find some wood to knock on.
It's all
The
like
broken door.
yeah, the broken door and all the wood that's like sprouting.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't like any of my novels. Normally, the butler would do us in.
So we need to.
Ooh.
We haven't seen the like original Contessa Yarny yet, right? Yarny? Was it Yarny?
Correct, you have not.
I think she might be dead. This is her blood. Right? It's her blood? The Contessa's blood? Yeah. Her blood is everywhere. I think your scarf killed her. Wait, no. No, your scarf was dipped in her blood. Quantum spiraling. She's dead. Again. Wait. Yes. Dead. I think.
Okay.
Or at least missing at least this much blood. That's all I can tell you, actually.
It is a decent amount of it. But we need to. I mean, if the was her name Cameron? If the Nero Syndicate is using Cameron to try to stake power here, we got to. We should be stopping that, right?
I just want to go to sleep. I haven't slept in 30 loops. One of them I just slept. It was nice.
Just mumble under my breath. That explains a lot.
But no,
Are we in the room with the data obelisk or no?
That was in the salon.
In the salon.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, which I guess if you wanted to check it or grab it, you certainly can. I don't think anybody did, so I assume it's still sitting there. That being said, you are beginning to smell something odd, kind of like acidic and pungent and uh, I don't know, just generally unpleasant as you look down and realize that a green goo is basically leaking through the floor tiles, like the stonework. Um, and this just acidic blob basically is slowly flooding up around your ankles, and then tentacles are lashing out and uh, grabbing you all and pulling you into it, and you dissolve.
Oh.
It was going well.
Oh, that's
Sorry,
awesome.
let me rephrase. You dissolve unless somebody has a last second idea that they want to employ.
I mean, normally in RPGs, yeah, but I feel like in a time loop one, it's just kind of like, well, there goes
No,
that loop.
okay.
That's it.
I was like,
You
I
guys
shouldn't
waited too
assume,
long.
but yeah. So the obelisk remains there, unexamined. Um,
It is
and
kind
you,
of amazing how the loop mechanic changes your impetus as a player to be like, wait, I have an idea. And now we're just kind of like, yeah, we die from
yeah,
this,
I
this
know.
sludge that that ate our
I
bones.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to seeing what it's like to GM in time loop for a while, and I'll tell you, it's pretty fun.
It's
Uh,
awesome.
but okay, so you open your eyes, the comet flashes overhead, you hear the party, you hear the hiccups. Trying to think.
So we've gotten some information. So like we now know Cameron's identity. We know that the blood is the Contessa's. So maybe we repeat our steps up to the point that we get there, but we don't. We try to stay hidden to not oust ourselves and then go from there.
As you're saying that, on this loop, Nefert's going to walk over and punch Horus in the face and maybe wait for the next loop for that plan. But we can cut to the next loop.
Wait, so you punch him in the face.
Yeah. Just like as you call for stealth and discretion, like here's what we know. He's just like, I'm number one scientist, and just goes for it. The sleep deprivation has caught up to him.
That's amazing. So I'm thinking, you, unlike Ziomeri, you have not been the one taking care of him most loops, meaning you don't step away from the canal. And so a second later, you feel that icy grab on your ankle and get yanked. You flatten on your face, and a moment later, you just disappear into the water. Um, you guys see Nefert vanish, but a second later, you actually hear this kind of melodical whirring sound from overhead. And as you look up, you see the clock tower face. Just the stained glass explodes outwards, riding this basically giant wave of purple flames and beautiful billowing like smoke puff. And as that happens, and Nefert is vanishing into the water, Nefert, you have like your seeds in what, like a satchel or a belt or something?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm thinking a similar, like a purple explosion actually erupts out of one of your seeds,
Oh, wow.
conveniently killing you and probably everybody nearby. Um,
It was a mistake.
and you open your eyes as the comet goes overhead. But actually, so that one I am going to throw harm at everybody. It seems like somebody slipped a bomb into the pocket dimension, or into the time rift, which your pocket dimensions seem to be getting increasingly tangled with.
Interesting.
How does harm work?
So basically, you have 3 health, and if you run out, it's just you're in a pickle and probably need some help. It's still fairly nebulous. Like for example, healing is as simple as like, well, okay, like start figuring out ways you might recover, and those are the ways you recover from harm.
Okay.
On top of like some moves outright let you heal. But at a high level, yeah. So basically, like Yakima now has taken 2 hits. It just means a third hit will put Yakima in dire straits. So yeah, you guys emerge from that loop, like wake up, and you can still smell like the chemical like accelerants, and you yourselves are smoldering slightly. Like there's little purple embers drifting off of you, and yet this reeks of Cameron's handiwork.
Nefert will look at Jacoma and say, "What was that you said about discretion? So sorry, apologies."
There's just like a moment of frustration. It's like, screw discretion. I'm angry now.
So with that, I think you did get information out of the castle. I'm tempted to call that the resolution of the second scene, meaning we'll figure out where the third scene is headed, but you can flip your super moves.
Ooh.
Ooh.
We'll figure out why we're going to the third scene in a second. But do people want to share what their super moves do?
I can go real quick. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I got treaty. Your homeland is too small to wage war, so you balance foes against each other. When you propose a truce, roll calm. On a 7+, any number of characters and extras can lay down arms and heal 1 harm.
There you go. Nice.
Very nice. So, I have an ability called Once Burned, which basically it sounds like Cameron has given me some inspiration on how to best seek some revenge. And basically, in the past, I used this trick once to fake my own death, but once per scene, if we get into like real big straits, I can use this to detonate and give us a chance to get out, and we can heal harm divided amongst the group.
Awesome.
So
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, so maybe like if we, when a loop is about to end, maybe we have a way to prevent that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, how can you fake your death in a time loop? Like, I'm not dead. I'm not looping. Let me share this. So, mine is Stargazer. You build ships out of moons to carry your people across dimensions. When you look up at the sky, say what constellation you see and what dimension it contains. You can choose to access that dimension with your next warp gate.
Ooh.
Also problematic for a time loop. I'm very excited.
But and since we're playtesting, Matthew pointed out, I realized I meant to update Once Burned to a newer draft, so he may do that in the background, Rob. So I posted what the actual text will be. It's largely the same. It's still a firebomb. It's just slight mechanical tweak. If he lets me know that he's updated, I'll let you know, and you can refresh.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So final question is, let me see. Let's back up a second. Would Nefret, having been generally kind of klepto all session, would Nefret have grabbed that data obelisk while you guys were in the salon?
You say klepto, I say research. All right.
Okay. Would Nefret have researched the data obelisk?
Yes, totally.
Okay. Then I think we can delve into that for a second, and that can probably give us breadcrumbs that justify the third scene. So you, from looking into the research and comparing probably with like Nefret's notes, Geomari's intel, and Yakima's past here, what it looks like happened is at shortly before midnight, they did not murder the old Contessa. They have a placeholder Contessa to take control, but they didn't kill her. They poisoned her, and before she died, like as she was dying, they threw her into the time rift. because Horace's research, they had gotten to the point where, like, with the metal from Paracebo, they could sort of stabilize it, but they were still missing like a fulcrum. And so he reached the point of assuming like maybe basically a human soul, like the ghosts in the canal. It's like they ended up deciding, okay, Nero's like solve two problems with one stone. We will throw the Contessa in and see if she can be the fulcrum. They didn't think they were inventing a time loop. They thought they were inventing like a quantum AI time travel. But so she is. It's sort of like the thing where you stack the two portals and you're falling forever. Like she is at the heart. She's in the deepest of nested time rift, and her presence there is what's keeping the whole like series of eggshells trapped.
So is this like Schrodinger's Contessa that we don't know if she is dead or not yet?
Yes. Yes. Um, to give us some reasons to branch out into the third scene, we'll say that perhaps either I could think of a few reasons. Either it's her like what's the word? Like childhood home. It was in the leaning district, and so there's some clues maybe there. Simpler would probably just be that that's where like Nero's other lab was that they did some of this research, and maybe you can find the tools you might need to burrow into the nested rift. Um, or if anybody has a thought, please share. Or we could try and spin one out of the goals here. But I'm thinking basically like you know now kind of where she is and what you need to do to break it. You just need some tool from this scene to do it.
Probably Horace knew about this other location, and maybe we shook it out of him at some point in one of the loops.
Slap. That works perfectly. Yeah, actually, and that would make sense. Nefrit has been here for quite a while. It's possible you just learned this in passing and didn't know it was important.
Mm-hmm. Can I take out the photo of the fake Contessa from my seed
Yes.
dimension thing? What does it look like at this point?
Let me see. Trying to make sure that as I'm making up these time travel rules that they're remaining consistent. So it's definitely decayed some. I'll do my usual. Before I weigh in further, do you have ideas of what has happened?
No, I'm kind of interested in the group's ideas.
Okay. Does anybody else want to throw ones out? Otherwise, I've got some spitballs.
I want to hear what you got.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
good with what you got.
So in the past, we've learned that like there's like a what's the word I'm looking for? Adjacency effect, right? Like the thing that you throw in does leave the time stream, but decay starts spreading from where it was. So presumably, if you were back in the castle salon, you would see that the wall where that the portrait was hanging, is now like crumbling and decaying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tempted to say though that as the time rift like eggshells get weirder, there might be some like Schrodinger effect going on where like the difference between the portrait of the person and the person is blurring. And so you might suspect that Cameron herself has experienced some decay.
Good, that's what I wanted.
Okay. That being said, so you also get the impression from the fact that she was able to bomb the rift that she appears to be maintaining some persistence across loops, similar to you guys. You are probably also yourselves not starting to feel like the decay is eating at you a bit as well, although you have it more under control. But Nefer's just wielding too many time rifts for it to be safe.
Yeah.
But yes, so you do anticipate that she is not happy now that you've Dorian Grayed her.
Awesome. That's so perfect.
Nice. Okay, so we're done with the data obelisk. We know that Horace's lab in the Leaning District may have the clue to unravel all this. You know where that is, and I will throw some people out there. Ooh. Why not?
Was your cat the model for this card?
It was not, but that would be super cool. Ooh, that's perfect. Okay. So the clock tower does not explode again. Although it seems you see more of that kind of like orange time lightning from it. There does seem to have been some permanent damage. Um, However you want, you can leave the plaza. This time you're not heading too far away, like down one of the canals, into this sort of like very ramshackle district where there's a lot of warehouses, apartments. It's a bit dilapidated, but actually kind of pleasant. There's like lights strung everywhere. The party is a bit more muffled. You can feel the rain start to come down, by the time you get there. And yeah, there's plenty of gondolas. You see occasionally like probably some more of the smugglers and just people pulling around like for late night shifts. And right, so Nefrit, you probably already know roughly which of these kind of warehouses on the canal Horace's workshop is in. And in this case, maybe they moved a bunch of stuff out of it in a hurry. So for fun, let's say it's one of the ones that's like particularly leaning and even like beginning to sink in a bit. So like the ground floor is a little flooded. And yeah, you spot one of these interesting like flickering cats as you're approaching. It's sitting up on the roof. But the bigger issue is that there are Nero guards outside, including a ghost that Yakima has probably dealt with in the past. This is one of their. He's been a ghost for a while. Like he was a ghost when you knew him. That's his whole thing. Is like they train as assassins by killing each other. So yeah, he's no fun.
So uncivilized.
There's probably just some regular enforcers as well. Oops, but they're on the back of his card, so yeah, there's just similar to the guards outside the clock tower. Anyways, so
Boy.
warehouse sinking. You know that Cameron is out there and aware of you, and you know that you need to get into this warehouse and get Horace's research. What did you do?
Oh man, it's like end game now, guys. What do we do? There's so many people with weapons.
I wonder what you could be flying. Okay, so I'm actually now reading the new ultimate ability, and I'm gonna try and share it, but I don't know if we have to refresh the stream to.
Yeah, I'll refresh real quick.
But basically, in addition to lobbing uh, light balls, I can lob a firebomb, and can, based on the effect, I can potentially do one of several different things. One is I can cover our retreat, one it can force others to retreat, or you can use it to make someone seem like they're dead. So I'm wondering if maybe it would be quite obvious move, but maybe use that as like give a huge distraction and see if we can scare them off.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm for it.
So, oh, okay, so view and okay, so let's roll. Let's hasty.
Okay. So it's gonna partially work. So first off, I guess let's start with describe. Like, yeah, how does that look?
Okay, I think it's probably going to be like sneak around through like an alley or something, and basically just like rolling an apple down the road, just like sneaking around so it lands pretty close to them, and then just let it go off.
Cool.
It always comes back to fruit.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And you said you're trying to essentially drive them to retreat?
Yeah, or like escalate the scene in a way that like
Yep. So yeah, with it being endgame, I like the idea that it drives off the two. So there's this just like blinding wall of flames that leaps out. Like even the water is hissing as the fire falls into it and keeps burning.
Cool.
And the two like Nero run of the mill guards basically just one dashes off, one dives into the canal to avoid the explosion, and just bobs up and starts swimming away because he knows there's ghosts. Um, Prospero actually, you see his bones and then his like ethereal form come through the flames. He is himself actually has an affinity for fire, and so uh, far from being like harmed, he almost revels in this. Um, and he kind of locks eyes with you across the canal as he steps through the flames, his sword's glowing, and he recognizes you without a doubt because he worked alongside you. He dueled your brother for years. So this is the first like definite instance where a Nero person like he just points a blade at you and he's like, "You were meant to be dead, and I will finish what was meant to be." Um,
I'll just kind of take the hammer and hold it two hands, be like, I'll distract them. You guys go inside. And
nice.
Uh, you don't have to tell me twice on this loop. Maybe the next one. And he'll run forward.
So, and we'll say also in classic Bond fashion, the whole warehouse behind him, as the flames eat at it, is also beginning to sag. So, if I understand, so Yakima has Prospero pinned against the flames at the front of the warehouse. Meaning, are you guys going to go around like above or something to get past him? Like, or what I'm trying to say is, are you trying to get past the Prospero and the flames, or are you trying to circumvent those by going a different route? Given that you guys have wings and things.
I can go. I can move in a blink, so I can probably go past with my wins if I roll well enough.
Okay,
I don't know if I can take somebody with me with that though.
I'm up. I'm up for it. I'm gonna laugh at what this looks like when Fred has to ride along.
Right. Let me try. Let me try to roll a calm.
Okay. What does it look like?
Um. Yeah, I think that I grab onto Nefrit. Just sorry, I value personal space, but this is a extenuating circumstance. Let's go. Push out my hands and let the little dragon spirits out. They probably like loop around us for a bit before like zooming forward, and we're like caught up in their tail or something as they move forward.
I
That's
think Nefrit
awesome.
is like, just like about to say something, and it's all happening too fast. Can't even process or get a word out.
Nice. So, yeah, there's this just little kind of perfect curly Q gap in the firewall as you puff through it. He almost doesn't even notice it because he's already like essentially leaping with the flames across the canal. Like there's just the water's reflecting the red fire, and he's like, crashing down on Yakima with his burning blade. But we will cut back to that in a second because as you guys get inside, you're standing like knee deep in water. You can feel the heat on your back. There's dust and rubble crumbling uh, upwards. Actually, the dust is falling upwards,
Hmm.
and so you see a lot of Horus's like older equipment. It's the stuff that they used while they were doing all the experiments in preparation for the clock tower event. And much of it is damaged, waterlogged, like burned out. But you see a lot of these, like the same kind of time fractures that you've seen by the clock tower. You're seeing them now, except they're purple, and it actually seems like the building is it's almost destroying in reverse. Um, and as you behold this, you hear what at first sounds like machinery, and you eventually realize is actually purring. As you realize that this black cat thing, it's like a quantum demon, is just perched in the rafters. You can currently see it, but the moment you catch it, actually, then a piece of ceiling like repairs into that place, and you lose sight of it. Um, but yeah, the building is reconstructing around you. Um,
Hmm.
And all of Horus's tech is laid out in front of you in varying states of destruction or repair, which is changing as you go. So think about what you want to do with that for a second. Let's cut back. So Yakima, Prospero is attacking you. He's very fast. Um, Even expecting it, he's still very fast. So I guess first question is just, yeah, what do you do to avoid taking harm right away?
Um, it kind of going back to an old favorite. I think I dropped one of the light barriers, and like as he is accelerating in, the first thing he slams against is a barrier of light.
Okay,
So
go
I'm gonna
for
try
it.
to. Okay, so that's a little tough.
Crit. Okay, perfect. Good.
Nice.
Um, so I'm gonna spend his token to that he was in attack, so I'll spend a token for the attack, but it doesn't do anything. So it's a crit. You effectively get to harm him on this. What happens to really like surprise him and turn this to your advantage?
Not sure I have a good idea for what actually causes the harm. Maybe it's a it go like there's just so much momentum as Prospero swings the sword that it actually just like clangs off and it actually slices back into him.
Okay, I like that.
Like, yeah.
Cool. Um, Perfect. So yeah, he's still very quick and graceful, so he recovers in a blink and is basically backflipping off and lands on the edge of the canal, holding his shoulder, clutching the other blade in one hand, as he's like, "You are not your brother. Like, you cannot best me in a fight. You know, you will meet your end here, as you should have a year ago."
Yeah, I
Uh,
love villains talking shit.
uh, so what are you guys up to inside?
I
Uh,
feel like, as an old lady who likes to knit, I probably like cats.
okay.
And I just feel like the thing to do when you see a cat is to like try to
Pet
get it
it.
to come to you, but you can't act like you're too interested, right?
Mhm.
No, I know what I have. I have more yarn. I have balls of yarn. I'm just gonna like throw one out there, just throw it out. Leave the yarn sort of trailing a little bit. See if the cat will come and play with it.
Nice. I think that totally works. Um, so yeah, as the building is like twisting around you, like an accordion, yeah, it basically drops through. It almost phases through the ceiling against the stream of dust, and immediately is like jumping out to. This is your yarn, right? Not the quantum silk. This is just like
Yeah, this is just
actual
yarn
regular
I
yarn.
have. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the best thing it's ever had. And as it's batting at the yarn, and you hear like the computers behind it basically like whirring to life, there's this blue and red kind of glow that's filling the lab. Um, it is totally ignoring that. And how does this manifest? You actually see basically reflected in its eyes because it gets so close to you. You see a glimpse of the future. Uh,
Dang.
you see. Hmm, for dramatic effect, Yakima, we'll say so you see Yakima outside lying dead with the blade in her back. Um, you see the cat perched on a neighboring rooftop smirking. You see this building pristine, like risen back out of the water. Scientists and Nero guards like in the space that you're in now, and floating in the air, basically like above this computer terminal that's reconstructing. You see the quantum AI that they were working on, um, and standing in front of it on a tour of the lab as a sort of gesture of goodwill. You see. Oh wait, no, this is right. You're seeing the future, which for this building is the past. Yes, this makes sense. I'm gonna say that I can make this make sense. Okay, and you see the Contessa standing in this lab. They lured her here.
Dang. Some more hot tea.
Yes. So this AI basically will say is probably the tool that would help unwrap uh, the time rift. In fact, the time rift essentially has been formed from its collapse.
But it's being repaired by the cat's presence.
Yes.
Keep the cat happy.
Yeah.
It's working. The fate of the world rests on this cat's happiness and interest in your yarn.
You like the yarn?
Yes.
Try to like pull on the end, make it move, make it like more interesting, like it's
Yeah. Yeah, as it does that, like the repairs go faster. Like you start seeing people moving in like reverse, like uh, what's the word? Like the time lapse.
Mm-hmm.
And the AI begins to like actually like light back up and reassemble from when it collapsed.
But Yakima's death was not the past, unless that's happened in one of our previous loops. That's a future.
That's the future outside.
Cool.
So my thought there is that like Yakima is a great defender. He is a great fighter, and maybe you're just getting a glimpse of like Yakima's gonna fumble a roll, and that's gonna be the opening he needs since she only has one heart left.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what do you do with that information?
I think I would say I'm not usually a hero doing things, but I can help. And I think he'll run outside and use his Stargazer rift to summon a ethereal glacier plane across dimensions to summon Mesotome, this like icy place, and open a rift to an icy world, hopefully in a way that like directs the fire guy or like gives Yakima a chance to push him in or something, but he's going to try to open an icy rift.
That's awesome. Go for it. And Yakima, you see this behind as you're like defending. If you have an idea of something you might do to help, like in terms of distracting him or whatever, I would say you can lend a +1 to the roll.
So you're opening the portal, right?
Yeah, you see Nefrit run out just like, I'm doing a thing, I'm doing it, and going to point and say, Mesotone, and like start to see like ice crystals and things for him, but he's really concentrating hard.
Well, apparently the story began with throwing someone into a rift. What if you open the rift and I use the hammer to throw Prospero in? Or try to push him in?
That sounds great.
Into it.
All right, roll it and add an extra +1 on top of whatever you normally add. Crit. Nice.
Dang.
Yeah. So what does that look like? Is this rift essentially like hanging over like the canal and part of the alley, like just this big glacier looming through?
Yeah, I think it looks like just like the ice and snow and like a burst of cold air like breezes out towards the fight. So it's open for you to throw your enemy in there, but I'm hoping with a crit, like the fact that it is a rift, I'm hoping that can interact in some way with like the past and like the rift of the quantumness too, like two rifts in one place kind of through space and time. I hope it just gets funky. That's how I'd like to use the crit.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yes, that works perfect. Okay, so yeah, so Yakima, the rift, like the snow piling out, like he loses his footing, gives you that opening, and you can mega hammer him through. But the fringes of the rift are like unraveling in the air, and it's like harmonizing with the quantum effects going on in the warehouse where Geomeri and the cat are. So Geomeri, you're seeing at this point like everything's basically repaired. You see this like quantum AI that's sort of like floating above you. You see the time lapse of people moving in reverse, and finally you see them basically drag the Contessa in reverse. She's like slumped on the floor. She springs back up. A champagne glass jumps into her hand, and you see that one of the people in attendance is Cameron. And right about at that point, Nefrit's rift outside, like the harmony builds up with with what's going on here, and everything, including the cat, just stops. And the only thing that moves is, for one split second, you think Cameron looked sideways at you.
Oh, creepy.
But you are basically in the lab. The Contessa is there alive, holding the poisoned champagne flute. Horace is here because this is several hours ago. There's Nero folks. There's probably like the several Nero like envoys, but Cameron is here in the background, and you know like she's here because they poisoned the Contessa to take her and essentially throw her into the rift. And at the moment, they're just like everything is still. And outside as well, if you could see it, like right now, Nefrit and Yakima are also frozen, like mid hammer swing, Prospero like flying into the ice. What do you do?
Get it, Grandma?
What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
You're the only one not frozen in time.
And you see all around the lab, you see samples of that metal from Parasibo, including probably like there's now a decayed podium where the piece that he had is, which I guess in the past it would be there again. I start to get wonky. Maybe it's like glitching in and out, trying to be there but also be in Nefrit's bag.
I don't know. So what? Do we know what caused it to go wonky in the first place?
Horace just is not number one scientist.
Ah.
I am number one scientist.
So how can I use peace treaty in this? I want to because I feel like it's the moment to use it.
So if you want everybody to unfreeze, we'll say you could pet the cat, and that would basically, between that and Nefrit's rift, the time rapid rewinding and everything would stop, and you would finally jag it all back to normal progression of time of this stuff, and then you could interact with everyone.
Okay. First, I wanna get rid of the glass in the Contessa's hand. Maybe swap it with another. Ooh. So, no.
A Jello shot? Is that what I'm hearing?
Swap it with a Jello shot. Who needs a champagne flute? We're not in.
Yep.
We're not in the castle right now.
Nice.
And then yeah, why don't I want to pet the cat?
So time finally resumes to its normal progression. I mean, as normal as it can be when you're in a bubble of the past that's been brought back. Outside, Yakima, your swing completes. Nefrit, you see Prospero vanish into the ice, and you can feel that your effect has influenced the warehouse behind you, which is now like restored. But yeah, so everybody unfreezes. They're like, how did this ghost appear in our midst? Except for Cameron. Cameron, the moment things unfreeze, she is pulling out her flute, and essentially like extending it towards you like a wand or something.
Yeah, to how do we even go about doing this? Cameron, let's put a pause on that. Contessa Yarny, it's a pleasure to meet you. I don't think you know everything that's going on right here. I I think that right
Sure.
now what would be best for everybody is to just lay out all the cards on the table. And let's have a heart to heart here. What really is going on? What's happening here? How are you feeling, Cameron?
So you see her like, essentially like warring with the desire to do it, but she's trapped in the loop and knows it. So she can't quite pull it because she realizes like you'll just do this again. And so slowly she lowers the wand. The contestant, on the other hand, who is like chugging the Jello shot in a puzzled expression, is like, "So who the hell are you? Um, are you one of Nero's little like? Does Nero just trot out their grandma when they're trying to make an impression? Like, what the hell is going on here?" I
Oh
thought
no,
you guys...
I'm nobody. I'm a tourist.
Then why are you in here?
Because I'm here as a I'm here. Why am I here? As
You got this, Grandma.
You have all the evidence. Well, I guess Nefert has it outside, but you've been adding to the evidence pile.
yeah, so I'm I'm here to, you know, protect you, to protect this whole town. There's a bit of some funky time stuff going on. This AI, beautiful, great stuff. A little bit unstable, perhaps. You know, I know of the world's greatest scientist who could probably improve upon this to make sure that you know, any further it'll decrease the cost of upkeep on this in the long run for sure.
Horace is like, what? What? But you realize he's actually already had a few drinks, and this is one of his problems.
And I think that it would be really rad, Contessa to Yarny, if you know, you I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Whatever you're doing it perfectly. Like, I just
Okay,
love
you
the
got
image.
this.
I love the image of this grandma who's just like swapping out poison for a Jello shot. And she's just like, you know, it'd be rad. I freaking
That's
love
actually a
it.
good point. You have the poison, like if
Oh
you
yeah,
really
you
need to
do
make
have
sure
the
that,
poison.
like, you're on her side. Some
Yeah.
way of like you like dip the knitting needle and it like sizzles and be like,
Yeah, that's good. You know, you were about to drink this. This drink was provided to you. Who provided the lovely beverages this evening?
you see the like slowly pivot towards Cameron.
Yeah, it's really good, huh?
And I would say maybe just as Cameron starts to rethink that equation of whether it's worth letting you stay alive, like Nefren and Yakima have had plenty of time unobserved, so you guys can storm into the scene in whatever entrance you see fit.
Nefrit is like covered in ice crystals and they're like clinking off of him as he walks in and pulls out the interdimensional seed and overlays it into the scene and says, "Behold!" and pulls out the corrosive picture of Cameron to hopefully incite some harm on Cameron and give Shamari more time to
I love it.
work her magic.
I know you've already rolled, but do you want to do a bright roll for that?
Sure. He looks at Shamari. I've got you!
And I'd say again, take +1 for Geomari's setup, because this could be a cool beat to wrap it, if it works. It does. That's good enough. So my thought is, yeah, like, so Cameron is already looking a bit worse for wear, and when you are overlaying stuff and pulling out like the photo, she has like 3 bad reactions at once. Like she's like don't do that. Like, don't get the time rift near the past Contessa. Also, like, how dare you be like unraveling me with my portrait? The problem is, like, as she's reaching to try and do anything about any of this, the Contessa's like, that's interesting, and is reaching out to like to touch it and see what it is. And the moment she touches the time rift, she's just like sucked into it, and it forms again that kind of like bright orange star, like what you saw in the clock tower. Except this time it starts like blasting out and expanding in layers, and every time it does, there's yet another star, and it blasts out again. And soon they're going so rapidly that it's like a photo collage, like being flipbooked through. Everybody's just moving staccato, including Cameron. Cameron is, however, basically starting to like wear away before your eyes. And as she vanishes, you also realize you're starting to see the Contessa more clearly in the center of that star. Like, you're seeing her face. And about the same moment that Cameron is essentially just not visible anymore, the Contessa's face like just jumps into sharp relief, and that final wave that blasts out essentially wipes away the entire room. Like, the orange flare dies down and it's just pitch black. You see the three of you and the Contessa standing there. You see like one lone comet burn overhead, and then like the lights start to slowly rise. You're standing in the plaza in the shadow of the clock tower, and you hear Horace hiccuping.
Are you freaking kidding me? We're back.
But now the Contessa is with you, and the clock tower above you is all in one piece. It's not mixed eras. There's no rifts, and right as you see the glow coming up in the water and the hand come out, Horace looks down at his mug, goes, "I should quit drinking," and just slumps forward and rolls into the gutter, and the hand misses him completely and drags back.
Nefrit is going to just overcome with emotion, like his doing his forehead, like rubbing thing, and you like almost see the psionic blast pop out because he's just like so stressed and happy, and he's just like, I think we've done it, and he just like goes to give a bear hug to everybody, including the Contessa, and just like wrap them up in his arms. And there's like interdimensional seed rifts just like opening up, like little confetti poppers, like all of his tools and things are just clattering down around everybody.
It's like the fireworks, essentially.
Yeah.
Nice.
But he hugs Jacoma and Giamari, just like, oh!
We did it.
The Contessa's like also in there.
Yeah, and the Contessa, who's a little bit like, who are you guys? I know we just met, and you saved me from something. But as that's happening, Yakima, you can very carefully reach your hand out, and as one of Nefrit's little portal tears vomits forth the data obelisk of evidence, you can just neatly catch it and tuck it away to expose Nero's doings. And then, I don't know, a second later, would the butler fall out with the tome? He probably isn't in there.
Yeah, what's one of the books that falls out at the very end? Yakima, what book do we end with?
Okay. So I had time to think about the first one, so...
Oh, it's got to be plant related because of all the light walls.
Yeah.
And the fruit.
I think it's just something like the vineyard. Or...
Nice.
Nefrit looks at it and looks at Shamari and Giacomo and says, maybe it's time we retire. You know, nice vineyard. Maybe spend us some time vacation. I don't know. What do you think, Contessa?
Sounds good. I own several vineyards, and as soon as I can get Nero to stop trying to assassinate me, I will recline in many of them.
Perfect. #1 quantum detective team.
Right.
That's amazing. And scene.
Yay!
Yay, we did it!
Well done, all.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That was super fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
That was
thank
awesome.
you.
It was like,
Yeah.
I can't believe you connected all of those things in like a cohesive plot. Like, that's like, it's
Just
like,
remember, everything's possible with time travel.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. About the time we were doing we're in the future past thing in the lab, I was like, let's just go by go by feel.
It was awesome.
It was
Wow.
really cool.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you
will say,
so much.
Time Loop lived up to my hopes. That was very different than a normal GMing.
Yeah, it was fun to play in too. It was very different feel
Yeah.
as far as like,
Fun.
yeah.
It's kind of like that, like it's like when you play a one shot, it's like you don't really care about your character, whatever happens. But when you play a one shot with a time loop, you could do anything. Like there are
Mhm.
no
Yeah.
limits.
Yeah, it was I mean, it was a weird amount of like freedom to just be like I almost stopped tracking harm at one point because it was like we're not doing harm, we're doing death.
Right.
But yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for running. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And I'm going to drop links in chat again. So if you've been enjoying the game, this is ATMA. It's a role playing card game. You can find all the links to Meromorph games in chat. So excited to have you here for March 1st Fridays. And thank you to our guest players, Reba and Rob. It was awesome to play with you guys. I would love to have you back on stream. Any of you guys, whenever you want, just let me know. Always a good time to have you guys at the table and be a player at your table, Kevin.
Yeah, yeah, and
Thank you for having me.
yeah.
It was a blast. Thanks for hosting us.
Of course. And now we're going to find somebody to raid to spread the love. So let's see who is streaming at this moment. We've got folks who are playing. Oh boy, there's a lot of random stuff happening right now. Blood in the Bayou? Does that sound like a thing that we want to go to?
I'm down.
I like that yes and attitude. So we're gonna go raid Rep RPG. They're playing Blood in the Bayou. I'm not sure in what system, but it sounds spooky. So we're gonna go hang out with them and say hey. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching First Fridays, and we will see you back Sunday. We have a rerun of GM Alex's chat. So if you didn't check that out last week, you have another chance to see it this Sunday. And then we're back on Thursday with more Outer Wilds because I cannot escape quantum time loops. It's happening every week. So probably the last episode will be next week. So if you want to see if I beat the game, check it out on Thursday. But yeah, have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you soon at Rep RPG's channel. Take care.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.